Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. 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 It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe.
Welcome back, welcome back. Sorry for the delay, everybody. We, of course, at college, I'm not lying, spent thousands of dollars for a projector system. They bought this big networking system, wired it behind the walls, just to get the projector to work with the computer. One of these days, we'll talk about that. Today, we're not going to do that because in the end, we get the benefit from it, right? So we shouldn't complain. You can't stop the hand that feeds you. It's just different. It's just complicated, you know. So anyway, we had to call a few folks up and try to gain access. So in-house, everybody in-house will be just following the PDFs and the slides on their personal devices. You at home, it won't affect you at all because you're wired up to our system, which is a lot cheaper. I think their whole projector costs as much as our whole streaming system. Just saying, it's complicated. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Learn to love people. Everybody has different rationalization. We can't share them all. Huh? That's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna stop right there. But before we get started, I wanted to jump into a couple of questions that were asked. And some of these questions are really good questions, but they were also, being that my time is limited for the class, and I got some new stuff to make things even more robust for next year. But there's some questions being asked, and I want to kind of go through these questions real quick and kind of revisit some of these questions and ask some of them as quickly as possible before we get this class started. Then I also want to share with you guys, I had a lot of similar experiences this week from multiple entrepreneurs, some in the class, some not in the class. And they all had the same problem. And it was funny because, it's almost like if I believed in like some idea of like superpower sending you a message, it felt like somebody was saying, hey, this is a common problem. You probably should address this one. So I'm gonna hit that before we really jump back into scaling, because the part of scheduling we're about to jump into is so key and so important. But first, let's jump into these emails. And I want to just bring up something that Veronica Lopez said. She was traveling, so she listened to class last class while she was in travels. And she said she wanted to talk about the connection between class and their business. How some people are like struggling with where's the connection between class and the business. She says, and this and I love what she says. She says, the way I see it is that first and foremost, you are the business. Hence, working on self-improvement and development, working in your business improvement and development, if you aren't able to see the connection, this is a sign that you may need to work more on mindset, the mindset portion of hope. And what she's highlighting here is that, you know, some of you guys go, oh, this is really like it's more like a self-help, or, oh, I like the stuff we're talking about in class. All your personal upgrades is your business upgrades. They're not, you can't separate the two. But I think we're still working on that binary idea, business and personal. And many of you guys built that principle from having a job. So you went to work, you were serving somebody, and you had to become somebody to go to your job. And then you went home, you had to say, I want to separate these two worlds, because often business was foreign to your home culture. So you had to create this mental division. Now, there is a mental division for entrepreneurs because you got to know how to go home and be with your family. You have to know how to go home and be with your friends. But the way you are is a direct reflection of how your business is ran. And speaking to a young man today, I was explaining to him who you hang out with, how you have fun, directly impacts how you process your business. So I thought that was pretty tight from Veronica. Let me go down to, Tisha said she'll be here by 6:30, so I'm gonna get hers last. Tawana, okay, I'll talk about Tawana's in a minute and I'll summarize hers. Shabishi, you wanna hit your questions that you have? Can you pull those up real quick?
The ones from this week or last week?
Last week. I think it was Tish, and I'll get Tish to pull up her questions. Because I want you guys to kind of ask them. And Ariel, you got, let me see, you got some questions too, right? Yeah. So once you pull up your questions, and I'm gonna have you guys represent your questions in class, and then we're gonna try to answer them briefly and to your satisfaction. I wanna make sure that we satisfy the answer. I don't wanna give you an answer where you go, okay, cool, and then you leave here like, what the fuck did he say? so I want to make sure, I don't care if we have to break it down to the simplest level. First of all you guys write really well. I enjoy reading your thoughts and the way you're processing and the way you communicate your ideas. So hats off to a lot of people turning in their homework. It's exciting. Just, you know, it gives me encouragement to know that all you guys can do it. All you guys can do this. You know, and it's not saying that you have to be a writer to be able to do this. It's just reading your thoughts and how you're producing and how you're shaping your questions. And let me say this too. Can we just all agree that we're all flawed? Can we agree that every human being on this earth is flawed? Okay, so can we stop trying to play like we need to be perfect? All of us are flawed. I mean, all of us are flawed. None of us know everything. A lot of our ideas are wrong, and many of us think in a very narrow way. Hold on a second. Where's my bag? I'm gonna make this class a little different. I'm gonna slow it down. I'm on some phone with y'all today. Hold on. Did I bring my notes? I hate myself sometimes. Okay, well, I didn't bring my notes because I had some good notes, some cool notes I was going to share with you guys. Text her for me and say that. That's we got team. We team. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody scared of us. I had like a few things and notes I'd taken.
Where they at? In your office?
They're in the kitchen, on the counter. on some line paper, old school line paper. But tonight's class, I'm going to really talk to you guys about some of the basics, but I'm also going to go somewhere with this. Hey, y'all want to give you some game while we're waiting on Shakira to text me my notes? All right, I'm gonna hit y'all really heavy out the gate. Real heavy. Why everybody pull up their questions? Everybody got their questions lock and loaded? Before you lock and load your questions. So Tennille was asking me, how do I read people so well? And there is techniques to reading people, right? It's not gonna be 100% accurate, right? But you can go from 20% to like 60%. That's about as high as you're gonna get, right? Because there's still so many hidden things and complexities about people. You know, one of the first things you should do when you meet new people is understand their personality through their sense. Okay, understanding them through their personality of control. What do they do to control the environment they're in? One of your basic instincts as a human animal is control. Not consciously, but unconsciously, everybody in this room practices control. And one of the reasons you practice control is because it's part of your survival. Because your number one instinct is to survive. So imagine if you go around a group of people and you don't have any control, your life is in danger. It's too scary for you. So often, all of us do something to control the environment we're in. Some of us might do it through anger. Some of us might do it by being an extrovert and talking loud. Some of us might do it by being the smartest person in the room. Some of us might do it by being sexy. Some of us might do it by showing up with, oh, I'm going through so much today. I'm so stressed out. Some of us might do it by humor, but it's all tools of control. Every human being has an act of control. They're always expressing it through their personality. Now, here's a second level. I'm about to give you out the coldest game there is. In analyzing everybody's way of showing up to controlling the environment, because even a gangster, that's his sense of trying to control the environment, right? So if I show I'm hard, I can control my environment by playing hard, right? The second thing is that in order to understand somebody's personality, pay attention to everything around them. Look at the things they have in their house, because nobody has one layer to their personality. We're multiple levels of different things. But often there's one that part of our personality we will express in our space of control. But there's other parts of our who we are in front of people is different than who we are when we're in the hallway. It's different than who we are when we're in the bedroom. It's different than who we are when we're in the kitchen. We're different people. And the more you can actually observe the way people put on their clothes, their cars, how they organize stuff, they will tell you more about their personality, because our personality is in everything we do. We can't escape it. We always express ourselves. And so when you're analyzing somebody and you're about to go into negotiations, one of the reasons a lot of times people want to take you out and hang out with you for a little while, they want to watch your personality come out. And I know exactly how to structure this conversation. Because certain things trigger certain people, and certain things don't trigger other people. But the first entry level is when you meet people, try to understand their personality of control. I think she texted me or something. Oh, no, she was clowning. No, I know she clowning. Yeah, I know she clowning. Oh, my daughter just spilled lemonade on it. Yeah, it's called theory of control. It's called theory of control. What's your theory of control? So it's when you get to a point where you use something about your personality to control the environment, the room. Everybody does it. Sometimes when somebody's irritating or like, oh, I get on my nerves when they do this, because they're really a scary person and they're turning it up. And the more they feel comfortable, that part of their personality will calm the fuck down. So a lot of times you guys are trying to analyze people through this, through like, hey, there's stories they tell you, and really you're watching fear and control do a dance right in front of you. Learn to see people through their personality and control. It will tell you so much about so many people, it'll make your head spin. It's a hell of a hack. Hell of a hack. All right, that's something to smoke a joint to. All right, let's go. let me plug in my charger. It was a crazy start, so I'm still kind of setting up. My daughter spilled lemonade. Hey, teacher, whatever your homework. Well, my daughter, she spilled lemonade on it. I'm sorry. F. Okay, Shabisha, once you get started, since I called your name first.
Okay.
Microphone. Yeah, you got to. You about to talk everybody at home.
I'm talking like I'm at.
Yeah, people
talking to you,
at home be
just
like,
you.
wait, what? What?
My bad, y'all.
Okay, go ahead.
So from last week, I had two questions. One of them was, what are the nuances between willpower, which I tend to see as heroing? Is that the one? That's the one you're talking about? Are you talking about the innovation question?
Yeah, for the last week's podcast, when we were off for roughly 2 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm reading the right ones. Okay, so what are the nuances between willpower, and I tend to see willpower as like heroing, because willpower tends to run out, but we rely on it a lot. So what are the nuances between willpower and resilience? How do you know when you're in one versus the other?
I'm not sure that's even connected. Because willpower is, like, let's say, one is holding on, one is pushing.
One is holding on, one is pushing.
So willpower is like just continue to push, keep continuing to push. Well, resilience is being able to hold on, to stay. It's almost like a form of it's a soft version of anti-fragility, right? Resilience, right? It's a softer version of anti-fragility. Willpower, I'm not sure if it falls into it. It is a form of anti-fragility, but I think because resilience, willpower is more or less like a concentration of fighting a thing, right? Resilience is like you can lose willpower and resilience, fall down and get back and come again,
Yeah.
right? Well, willpower is that more of a concentrated micro concentration. Well, and so I don't think those two. I think that's inaccurate to try to mix those two together. They complement each other, but I'm not sure if they conflict with each other.
You're not sure if they conflict with each other.
No, because you can have willpower on a lot of stuff, but don't have any resilience. Right? Willpower, because remember, willpower is limited. It's not a long term.
Right.
So you can, like, for example, you can go to a workout and have all the willpower to get to the gym,
Yep.
work out,
Yep.
but you don't have no gym resilience. You ain't coming back again.
So how would you know? So that's kind of. so that I guess that's what led to the question, because I see willpower as like it doesn't have much stamina.
It doesn't have no stamina at all.
So what I guess, but to me, when you're in them, they feel very similar.
Well, one of the reasons I can say they don't feel, I think you call it resilience, willpower. Resilience is a long-term commitment, right? So when you have resilience, you're engaged in something. So with willpower, like for example, I may have willpower to finish my homework, but to have resilience, meaning I will go up and down. I might have to refuel it tomorrow, and I'm back at it again. It's almost like it's like this, like a hyena. I'm constantly coming for you, right? Well, willpower is like an attack, like a lion. Like I'm gonna attack you, but if you knock me out, I ain't gonna keep coming back. Nah, that's a lot of shit.
So how do you know if you're in one or the other?
If it's a long-term thing, it's probably
It's the time.
yeah, it's probably resilience. But
Okay.
why does it? Let me ask you a question. But why does that matter?
Well, because the way that I was thinking about it was, willpower runs out, resilience has more stamina, but how would I know when I'm practicing one or the other? Like, how can I tell them apart? In my mind, I'm thinking, I see them as parallel, but not necessarily connected.
Because usually is when you're pulling on willpower, there's a degree of unknown, and you're working towards a short-term goal.
Okay.
resilience often is realizing that part of the accomplishment is sticking with something, right? So you can use willpower within resilience, but does willpower work by itself? No, you have to engineer healthy resilience. So healthy resilience is creating an ecosystem, friends, environment, habits that allow you to actually stay resilient, right? Like Court is resilient, right? He tells the stories of resilience all the time, right? I'm sure Court has many days where he loses willpower. But resilience, and even if he loses willpower and he takes that loss, he go home, get some food, sleep, relax, meditate, burn some of that stuff. Sage, yeah, sage. Y'all was like, what stuff is that? No, sage. And he's back in the game again, right? But and that happens to me as well. Like sometimes, there's some week I'm always resilient, but there's some days I just don't have willpower, and I got to come with all these little hacks to get myself up and going.
So resilience is more holistic, and willpower is more individual.
No. It's one. Resilience is more or less, look at it as long-term, like a long-term engagement, right? It's just like, I think somebody asked, are you supposed to always be happy? And it's like, hell to the no. You can't always be happy.
Right.
At some point, you got to just be satisfied.
Got it.
Right. So satisfied and happiness is like you're trying to mix those two together.
Mm-hmm. And then my second question.
Content, I guess the word would be more content.
My second question was around the open hand conversation, having an open hand in conversations. Mm-hmm. My question for you was, how have you led open hand conversations in closed environments? So for instance, 510 Media is a very open hand environment. Mm-hmm. There's that's all. If you don't like that, that would be very uncomfortable because that happens. That's what it is.
Yeah, default.
But if you go into any other environment, they're not used to that. There isn't a culture of that. That's not the thing, right? So how have you led open hand conversations in environments that don't really hold it at the moment?
I was in one of the podcasts about how most time when you're having conversations with people, both sides are in activist mode. Mm-hmm. They're not in the conversation. Matter of fact, you're open hand more you realize. Either you go to activist mode, or you go to open hand, which is a good thing. So it's kind of like you'll roar, but you're open to receiving, right? Where some people just roar and hey, the conversation's over. I roared. I'm going to prosecutor mode. First I'm gonna do politician, then I'm going to prosecutor mode. And if I keep talking, I'm turning to a preacher. Just one of those things gonna happen, right? And what she's saying is that how do you facilitate or encourage or grow that type of mind, which is really a creative environment, right? Creative environment. Two, there's two ways to loosen it up, but I'm not sure if it's worth it all the time. One is forge more questions in the group, which forces us to kind of own the process of opening up. Two, stories. Stories help people who are very rigid in their beliefs, helps them to kind of start to crack those beliefs and open their mind up. It's hard for a human being to change their mind because who you are is all you know sometimes. You don't know other versions of the world or other ways of thinking. So if I say change the way you think, you feel like I'm telling you destroy yourself. And so your brain goes into fight or flight mode and you feel like you're being attacked. So often those environments are protecting themselves from being attacked because they have a very rigid way of seeing things. So if you start to tell stories, that's why Court be thinking I'll be messing with him when I say he's an excellent teacher because he has so many great stories. But those stories actually help human beings change. Facts don't change people as fast as stories do. And that's why I'm always saying, like, Court, I love your stories. And now y'all be like, damn, dude, get off his jock. He's starting to sound kind of weird. Like you should be wearing pom-poms around now. But it's like, that's a hell of a powerful technique and skill, is to tell stories to help people shift. Go ahead.
What do you mean when you say, like, tell stories? Like, how does that work?
Stories? Yeah. Give me a second. I'll come back to that question. I promise you, at the end of this little section that we're going through, I'm gonna jump into the story because stories is hella powerful, and it's a new way. It's a new technique I'm gonna start using to help people hack complex behavioral-ish challenges and thinking challenges that every human being has. I'm gonna start using the language of stories to show you not only to help you hack it, but to show you how to even improve your marketing and help you hack your customers, which I'm gonna talk about it shortly. So who got the next? You always eating. Pass to somebody who ain't eating. Okay, go ahead. Like you better leave me alone, bro. Go ahead. Is it on green? Is it green? Green, okay.
How can someone change the trajectory of their life on their own if they're stuck in like a repetitive cycle, and like the repetitive cycle is all they know?
So it goes deeper than the repetitive cycle. All of us in this room, you know what makes you who you are? Is your memories of your past. But guess what's wrong with that? They're all inaccurate. You leave out all the stuff you don't want to think about. You've changed the story on half the shit you think about, and then you make up a portion of the shit that don't even exist. That means who you think you are is just a story. Ain't that some cool shit? And if you don't get exposed to any other stories, you can't change. Also, you're designed to protect yourself because it does make sense to protect yourself. If you didn't protect yourself, human beings would not be able to stand the way we stand, collaborate the way we collaborate, and build what we build, right? It has a strength to it, but the flaw of it is that quite often we lock ourselves in, and the older we get, the more we built up more people and more information to stay the same. And your brain, they call it naive realism. Your brain is so fucking cold. It will start to think that it's so much smarter than everybody else that it will start to think that you're the most God-gifted, most intelligent person at the center of the world, and everybody else is stupid, and you're the only one that can get it. Because by default, your brain always makes you the hero. That's just the way all of our brains work. Everybody in this room think they're the hero of all their stories. And so when somebody says change, I'm trying to take you off your hero throne, tell you your whole life is trash, and follow me. That's what your brain is going to say. So your brain says, fuck that dude. Keep arguing your point. Or you'll hear what I say, and you'll be like, yeah, that's cool. And then your brain, because your brain will be like, well, he's right, but I know I had to be right. So then you'll mix the two concepts and come up with some new perversion. And this happens all the time in class. Trust me. And I'm seeing even in you guys, as you guys are like, oh, this is what I got from it. I'm hearing how you guys are trying to justify who you are with this new information. And you're trying to integrate, make the two work together, and it's kind of like this now. And it's like, no, that's not what the person said. So so change, one of the ways you can hack the change process is get around people who share different stories. And when you get around different people who share different stories, their stories will slowly chisel away at who you think this you are. And as you're going to become uncomfortable. There's this story of this English butler. He was a top butler in England in the 1700s. And he prided himself so much on being a butler. He say, Americans could never be a butler because they don't have the ability to restrain their emotions to reach this level of servitude. They're too emotional. So his father called him to the bed, who was a butler before he was. And his father was dying. So his father decided to break code and say to his son, hey son, was I a good father to you? And the son said, well, father, I have to go back to work. It's about time, but we'll talk later. And he left. So he called him back again. He said, son, perhaps I was a horrible father because, I wasn't there for you. I'm sure I was a horrible father, and I'm sorry. And the butler softly giggled, well, Father, thank you for sharing, but I must go back to work. And he went back to work. So as the butler was working, a soft tear came out of his eye. And the owner of the house walked by and said, is there a problem? He said, no, actually, I just had a hard day, and went back to work. So eventually, his father died. And you would think, okay, the moral of the story is that he was so rigid, locked into his story, he lost his father. But actually, he found pride that he was so superior that he didn't even bend when his father died. So then the butler moves to the United States, and he services an American success story. But in America, the owners would actually want to laugh at the butler, but in England, you don't laugh at a butler. So at first, when he told a joke to the butler was offended that he asked him to talk to him and be kind to him. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Because the story he told himself is that butlers do not play, do not show humor, are always professional, and are here to serve. Even though this guy was paying him, then the person started to get to the point where he would, ask him questions and confining him as a friend. And the butler became even more offended. What you'll find a lot of times when people are a certain kind of way, a better way will often offend the people who need to change. Say that again? A better way or a different way will often offend you. Because it's breaking the story the butler's been growing up with his whole life. He prided himself on having no emotions. Here comes somebody who's changing everything he believes in. Now, over time, the butler started to shift his ways and beliefs and ideas. But at first glance, they became offended. I've been teaching this class for 7 years. I can't tell you how many people have been upset with me, hurt, cried, sad, mad, offended by this class. I've never called anybody out their name, never shrunk anybody in this class. Okay, maybe I don't like the wine lady. Outside of the wine lady, everybody else was cool. So out of 750 people, there's only one person I didn't like in this whole class, right? And you'd be surprised how many people just could not stand me. Because it wasn't they couldn't stand me, I was challenging the very core of who they are. So one of the signs you will know that you have a personality disorder as far as you need to work on yourself, not like you need pills, is you get offended when you're exposed to something different. If you can literally say, that person wasn't trying to touch me, molest me, hurt me, kill me, stab me, but it offended me that he looked at me this way, or he offended me that he said this, he offended me that, that's kind of a flaw, and you're a little bit too rigid in your ideas and beliefs. What's the next question?
So my question was about labels, but I think I was looking at it differently based on our conversation. So the first podcast, he talks about how he labels himself, but he labels himself as a rule so that he stays true to his values. And I think the example he did bring up was the carb snob. So I say I'm a carb snob because it keeps me away from bad carbs, and that's to my rule. So my question from that is, in that case, is that him using the label to help him stick to his rule so that he doesn't eat bad carbs? And I know it's a simple example, but I just think about it if we use it in other terms, like, so say, oh, that person's a workaholic. They work their butt off. They're really dedicated to their work. I call myself a workaholic so that I stay true to my value, but I feel like my message is kind of getting lost, but do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Okay, let's try two things. One, if anything moves you, if you see anything move any human being, I got in trouble for this a long time ago, but I didn't give a shit. I usually use, you gotta get some pimp in your game. And we had a student from Cal Berkeley, woman in Cal Berkeley, she wrote me the longest email, a lot of words about how she was offended. But she didn't realize if something can move human beings, it's how you use it that makes it good or bad. Whatever it is, anything that can move you. If you've been on the bad side, like, yo, this shit gets to me sometimes. It be good or bad, depends on how you use it. Everything. A lot of times, I remember about 2 years ago, I used to talk about manipulation. We teach you how to manipulate. People like, oh, I don't feel comfortable about that. Deeper insight, I'm just going to give y'all some hella game tonight. black people, you were raised in a society to be the symbols of morality. I don't know if you guys pay attention to that. The symbols of morality. I mean that when society wants to say something's really moral or immoral, they talk about black people's opinion about it, right? We've been a symbol of morality in this country. Martin Luther King, morality, 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 morality. Am I loud enough when I think? Can you turn me up a little bit on the mic because I want to just hear. I just want to hear my voice. Is it okay if I hear my voice, Josh? I don't want to hear your voice. I just want you to turn me up. Huh? Just turn me up a little bit. Okay, you okay? Just a little bit, just a little more. I told you I didn't want to hear you speak. That's all, just a little more. There you go, that's enough. There you go, I feel better. Good, thank you. I just want to hear myself speak, not you today. Thank you. Fuck you, do. Anyway, so no, I just love messing with Josh. But there's 3 ways of thinking to make decisions that are very popular. One is thinking through morality, right and wrong. Now, it fits if you're in society and you, like if we say, okay, if you go back in history at one time, most human beings had sex with their in-laws. That's mostly, you gotta go, once you travel, you need to travel, you need to get on a plane and leave the United States, you're gonna find that the world is totally different than what you think. A lot of us are still trapped into these rules, which I'm gonna get into in a minute. But before the Catholics decided to make it law to no longer sleep with your in-laws, you slept with your cousin, third cousin, you married your second and third cousin, and you stayed in your group. Remember, most human beings only existed in small groups. Y'all think the size of the world right now is relatively very, very recent. If you go back to 1985, the world was, we had 4 billion less people on Earth. We've had added 4 billion people since the 80s, which is crazy, right? Huh? Since the 1980s, yeah. We've added 4 billion people. If you go back in human history, we didn't have a lot of human beings. So we all stayed in small groups. We had all this land spread out. Who are you going to have sex with? The tree, right? I don't know bring up animals because some of y'all might be like, I don't want y'all to do that. But I'm saying the tree, right? And so I don't want to mess up. Some of y'all might be a little too freaky for me. But the point is this. So all of a sudden, the Catholic government said, okay, Catholic religion, which was like at the time government for most human beings. Before, because governments didn't always rule the world. It was first religion, then later on came governments. And they was like, yo, we're outlawing, it's not cool to sleep with your family members anymore. I think they even outlawed masturbation. Some of you are ready to leave already. Point is this, okay, so. Well, hey, once again, and yet we had war. So anyway, but anyway, okay, let me get past masturbation for a second. Because if those of you at home, I say masturbation, and there's about to be a whole new conversation. This class is about to change and be red in the background. Wow, chicken, wow, wow. But anyway, so when they changed that, all of a sudden people were moving into towns having to meet new people. Well, the way the brain hacks meeting new people is it's too hard for me to try to analyze psychological personality differences. Just go good, bad, good. You want to eat this food? Good or bad? That's an easy way for human beings to hack, right? That's cool when you're surviving, but it doesn't work when you're building. See the difference? I'm not trying to get rid of that way of thinking. The other way that human beings think is called group thinking. It's when it's that cryptomnesiac. It's when you think you made the decision, but you really got it for somebody else. So you're really thinking the way the group thinks. You know, as Democrats, as Republicans, as black people, as women, as whatever, you just think through the groups and you're lobbying with those ideas, and then you build your militant tone underneath them and you're really upset. But at the end of the day, you don't think for yourself. And the third way is mental models. Now, let's go back to the first one, which was thinking through good versus bad. So when you look at those principles and ideas that you were trying to examine about labels can be bad, of course, and it can be good, of course. Depends on how you use them. That's with everything. Now, here's the power of entrepreneur. You know to throw them away when they don't work no more. And you embrace them when they do work. That's it. And when you label yourself and you announce it to the public, you're also using group thought and you're using peer pressure and labeling to actually be a tool to amplify your willpower. That's all you're doing. But you should be able to take off labels and switch labels as you see fit. If you hold on to the same label as you grow, you know, Russell Simmons was talking about, what's the brother name? Takeoff, right? Yeah, unfortunate, sad story. So Russell Simmons was talking about Takeoff death. And he was saying, hey, rappers. Oh, no, it was Deion Sanders. He was saying, hey, once you take on a certain different title in life or you become a celebrity, you can't go back and do that hood shit no more. You should be having a party where everybody come in that house. You know, yep, I know him. Anyway, yep. These are all Mormons over here, and these my Jewish, my Christian family. Nobody has no beef. Let's have a good time. We're gonna gamble, all right? Now that's all gangster for the night. All right, yeah, I'm good. Shit, I'm good. Like, let's keep it real, right? Because you got different money now. You got different money. Well, when you didn't have no money, that was part of your survival. You gotta be prepared to change your fucking story, change your rhythm, change your decision, change your labels. So you don't hold on to a label through your progress and your transition. You're always flipping labels off and on. This is why one of the biggest flaws when we over-announce ourselves. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. I'm that, I'm this, I'm that right now. But if you accept your calling, who will you be? It's like, I saw this the other day and I said, imagine this. If you join the military right now and you became a Marine, are you like a civilian? No. Let's say you join the Special Forces, are you like a civilian? Hell no. If you become a general, are you like a civilian? Absolutely not at all. Many of y'all are joining the ranks of entrepreneur Special Forces, entrepreneur generals, but you still want to be a civilian. Make up your fucking mind. Which one you want to do? When a kid goes to college and gets a PhD, is he like everybody else? No, he's not. He's going to be compromised if he tries to be like everybody else. You got to walk the path you chose. Stop trying to be loyal to a story. Was there any more questions we got to lob up before? Go ahead. Pastor Lee, there you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna just read it how I typed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the third podcast with talking about quit, I said even though she uses playing poker as an example and knowing when to fold in the game, but like to me, technically she did not quit the poker game and walk away. She still was in the game. So like waiting, I guess, for the next hand. So it wasn't really clarity on quitting versus pivoting. So what's the difference between like knowing when it's like, I think that's the second question, so I'll stop there. I just feel like when she used the example of folding, she didn't say she stopped playing poker, walked away, and started something else. So to me, quitting, like pivoting and starting over are two different things in how I interpret it.
Okay, so I think you're onto something, but let me just tweak it a little bit. Her quitting was pivoting. If you're in your own business and you start an idea and you go, bad idea, pivot. You're still going the same direction, but there's so many decisions you're going to make. Okay, this is interesting. Let me step back a little bit further, and I'm going to zoom in. This is why I hate self-help courses. They get you to the front door, but they don't get you down the journey. Once you go down that journey, there's a lot of fucking decisions you got to make. A lot of creative shit that ain't no class in the world can ever teach you, right? And this is happening every day, all the time. And some of that shit you're going to hold on to and start to drain your company because you're eating up not only resources for your company, but you're also destroying your mental accounting, right? Because it's eating up so many mental resources, right? What she's trying to show you is that in life, as you're building something, you have to have a quitting strategy. When you need to know, this is a waste of time, move on. Go to the next one. Let it go. You ever lost something in your house before and you spent too much fucking time looking for it and didn't deserve all that time? That's that kind of mindset where if you was to quit that and move on to the next thing, and by the end of your day is more productive. But so many of us are spending so much time, money, even our personalities. We won't even quit on some of our personality beliefs. We'll hold on to that personality until it literally destroys us. And then we go, I should quit it now. And so what she's trying to show you is all the things that get you trapped. And realistically, it doesn't mean that you die because you pivot. You just went on to let that part of you go that's slowing you down and then adopt something new in its place, right? Because even when she says, I'm going to fold, give me my next hand. I'm going to fold, give me my next hand. Okay, I can work this hand. This hand makes sense. So in a sense, you're going to have a lot of hands always coming to you in business. And what she's trying to get you to understand is we sometimes put stories on some of those hands and we play them anyway to our own demise. And remember, in poker as well as in business, the number one goal is not to go to zero. You never play a game that takes you to zero. Game can take you to 10, that's bad. 20 is bad. But you don't ever want to go to a game where if you lose, you go to zero. So knowing when to quit is where some of us, you would say, like, okay, in hindsight, let's say Shakina plays a hand and you come along, you're like, Shakina, you lost everything. What the fuck are you thinking? And she's like, yeah, I know I shouldn't have did that, right? That's that conversation. That's the space she's trying to talk about right there. Because when Shakina was playing, she knew better, just like you would know better, doesn't mean you know how to stop. And she even said, there's times when she's supposed to fold and she didn't fold. But she said the difference, she says the whole purpose of her book is not to get you to know the perfect time when to fold or not to fold. It's to increase your probability. Remember that probability thing, which is I'm gonna increase your percentage. So you may have folded, she said rookies fold only 30% of the time or 20% of the time. And she's saying that professionals fold over 50% of the time. Because they realize, it ain't working for me. Oh, no, you don't just play that shit. They're over it, right? But what happens is we get caught up in the hero's journey, which is I stuck with it, and when nobody believed in me, that shit worked. We're listening, then we're trying to map out our journey based upon a journey that's really more of a story and a rare occurrence than commonality. Because remember I told you, if you're planning from going from point A to point Z, that's a plan in your head. It has nothing to do with reality. When you're reality, you head off towards Z. And if you see an opportunity that pops up, you jump on that. If you see another opportunity, you jump on that. And now, when you finish that journey, you might be maybe in Y. But Y is good for you. Hell, man, this is the greatest life ever. I'm on Y. But it wasn't even part of your original plan. Like hope, where it is today wasn't my original plan. I take advantage of certain opportunities and I exploit those opportunities. That's called the steps, right? When I see those steps revealed to me, I take it. Like it's like when I say, oh, wait a minute, that's interesting. That's a bit of a strong possibility, right? But what I don't do is lock myself in saying, what I started with in year one is where 510 Media Hope Foundation or where 510 Media is going to be. I'm going to look at opportunities to grow. And as I gain more knowledge and see more opportunities where I may land, as long as I'm heading in that same direction, it might be a huge shift from my original goal. 510 Media, when it first started, was I was doing photography, right? I was a photographer, and Mashama was a graphic designer, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to do advertisement. Well, now we're kind of in behavior science branding, right? But where we landed was me just looking for opportunities and saying, hey, if these kind of things pop up, I want to do these things. But if these things seem exciting, I'm gonna do these things. Where did hope come from? I never planned no fucking hope a day in my life. But hope was, okay, I see an opportunity to help my people. Here's another way I can do it, because this one-on-one coaching thing is for the birds. I can't do this no more, right? And so it's really business is setting off in a direction with a broad intended goal, but looking for opportunities that really capitalize. I mean, think about how many companies you heard about, like, they originally was a sugar company and they ended up being a car company. You're like, what the fuck? Because the owners saw opportunities. Sears and Roebuck, the Amy was talking about how they originally started off with, okay, we're selling products, and they was like, well, we should do insurance. Then they create a $40 billion insurance company, right? That wasn't the original. Everybody sat around the original table like, yo, so what we're gonna do first, dog, is like some Wu-Tang shit, right? We're gonna have like our first clothing company, and then we're gonna fuck around and have this, and then we'll have that, then we'll have, wait. Insurance, yo, dog, that shit's brilliant, right? But when they turn around and tell the story in return, this is where you get fooled when you go to these self-help programs. When they tell the story, they make it a perfect synchronized story, not telling you that it was a lot of discoveries. They failed upon some things. They took advantage of some things. Okay, so remember we talked about why it's so important to practice. So when an opportunity is revealed, one, you can see it, and number two, you can exploit it. And why are you building rich relationships? So when opportunities revealed, you have people you can pull on to actually help you exploit the opportunities that's in front of you. But if you're not always practicing and you're not growing your relationships, if the opportunity is revealed in front of you, you probably won't see it. And if you do see it, you won't have the resources to access it. So there's two things you're always growing: your knowledge and your relationships. Of course, your health. That's why we talk about working. If your health is fucked up, you can't get in bed talking about somebody go give me a pen. It's not gonna work. So you have to be able to. You got to realize that business is not this straight trajectory of you plan this, you're going to get there. Many of us think it's that God complex we have. We really think because we believe it's going to come into existence. But we're always dancing with reality. Most of us here were not planned. So it's like we're a constant evolution. Matter of fact, ask your parents when they was a kid who they thought you was gonna be and who you became, and they still dealing with that shit shock. Like, yeah, my daughter gonna be a doctor. Oh, God damn it. Right? It's just a reality. That's the reality. Like you don't control none of this shit. And so really it's about taking advantage of opportunities and then recognizing patterns, capitalizing on those patterns, and then combining those patterns to build you something. But it's not about you having the master plan and everything fell into place and you went from A to Z because you knew what you were doing. That's your part of your brain that always lies to you. Matter of fact, some of y'all even think that voice in your head is you. It's not. That voice is always rationalizing. So the real you, because if the voice was you, then you would do everything the voice tell you to do. You don't. At home, she said, hey, that shit was so pimpish. Hey, you understand me? She said, you talking spicy. hey, I love my people. I don't give a shit. Oh God, give me a second. The voice in your head is part of your brain trying to rationalize your real motivations. Your real motivations are your subconscious. Your conscious brain is just making a case. It's just a lawyer. It's a reporter and a lawyer. This is, like, for example, there's a word for it. I'm gonna look at this it's a word. I'm gonna look the word up. It's a word that talks about when you ask a person a question, or they did something, like in psychology, they are no longer asking people why you did something, because your brain is going to always make up an answer. And most of the time it won't even be true. If I say, hey, why'd you do that? Whatever you say is probably not true. Your brain is a justifier. It's a lot of times that voice in your head is not going to give you the causation. Huh? Was it one of our heuristics books? Yeah. It probably was. Yeah, probably was. Yeah. Huh? No, it's not post-rationalization. It's a fabulous, like, it's like I gotta look at the word up. I look it up. I get it for you. I get the word to you guys. But it's the voice in your head is always telling you the reason why. So, for example, they had somebody who had the hemisphere split, and they held a sign up to tell a person, get up and walk. So when their brain is not capable of saying, well, why? Or rationalize it, they just see the sign and they just get up and walk. So the person got up and started walking. And then when the person who was interviewing him said, so why did you get up and walk? And the brain goes, oh, I was going to get a sandwich. Because he couldn't see that he saw the sign to get up and walk, but his brain is taught to tell him, oh, when you do something, let me tell you, they give you a reason for it. Even though it might not be the real reason. And so you have to learn not only to observe others, you got to practice the art of observing yourself. Stop thinking what you felt and what you said is real. Quite often you spend more time manipulating yourself. You spend more time lying to yourself than you do lying to other people. That's why if you ever been around me, and if anybody's been close to me, I was gonna be like, yo, stop lying to yourself because I'm tired of you lying to me. You're like, damn, that's shitty. I'm like, because your patterns and your words are so fucking separate. Or your stories are so inconsistent, I can't stand them anymore. Because your brain is lying to help you feel better about who you are. That's just human. It's not a flaw, it's just human. So if you do that, you'll even do it to yourself. You'll start to build a whole case of why you're an amazing person, and God forbid it's cognitive dissonance. So, do you know most murderers and killers? So you heard about the black dude and the Asian dude who fabricated a lie about his dentist female partner being killed? So this man and woman was dating. The woman, they were both Asian. The woman was a prominent dentist, and she had an Asian male, older boyfriend. I don't know if she was down low or undercover, whatever it was. And she was worth $14 million. I don't think he was worth that much money. And he paid a black dude from Stockton in Oakland, in Little Saigon, to run up. And the dude ran around the car, didn't shoot him, ran around the car and shot the dentist. Pow! Jumped in his car, sped off. So it looked like black folks just acting a fool, jacking folks, and then shot somebody, right? But investigators of OPD was like, oh, no, she don't look right to me. So they started investigating. They collaborated with different county police and all these different police officers. Found out the Asian dude paid the black dude to put a hit on him. So the Asian dude got busted on Friday morning. Friday night he hung himself in Santa Rita. That dude was like, no, I'll disgrace myself. I know what to do. And this dude was so cold, he sung at the woman's wedding. So it was his girlfriend. Because when she died, he automatically gets access to $1 million plus her estate. So once again, he used the brand of Asian innocence. Oh, what? Oh, no, not me. And all of a sudden, he makes this move. Who would expect an Asian older man over 70? Psh, that dude made the move. So anyway, the black dude who did it, he had an African name, and they have a video of him trying to save land and protect the land for organic food. He was like one of those kind of guy trying to save land and I think Albany and like working to hey, we got to protect this land and plant organic food for the people because people should have access to good, healthy, organic food. He's a hired killer. You might say, that seems weird. Absolutely not weird at all. Here's two things that will fuck you up about people that this seems counterintuitive. Some of the most craziest people in the world are the most intelligent people in the world. You know why? Because they can use their intelligence to justify their hallucinations. So the smarter you are, the more hallucinated you could be. This is why when I say I don't fuck with Cornel West, if you understand the way the brain works, he has more power to create more hallucinations than a dumb person does. That's number one. So anybody you're like, I don't make sense why he's so smart, he would do something so stupid. Yeah, it does make every sense, all the sense in the world, because he can justify it. He can hallucinate, and then he can build a case better than anybody in this room can build a case for it, and he can lock into it. So education doesn't mean that you do smart shit. That's why cats from the hood's been telling you for a long time, educated cats don't know everything, right? 2, the people who commit most sick murders see themselves as moral superior to everybody else. There are people who rank themselves morally superior. They justify it. Give you an example. Somebody who has a racist ideology, don't like black, don't like white, don't like women, don't like Chinese midgets, don't like somebody, right? They can Chinese midgets, they're going through a lot. I've been to meetings. Anyway, point is this. And so if you think you're a good person, but you don't like Chinese midgets, you will say to yourself, I can't be a bad person and I don't like them. So your brain will go find bad things about them to make yourself comfortable with your feelings. Then if you ever murder somebody, you will feel morally superior as if, yeah, I had to do that. It was necessary. This is how a lot of Germans murdered Jews. This is how a lot of white people murder black people. It's cognitive dissonance when your brain justifies bad behavior because you think I'm a good person. But in order for you to rationalize that, cognitive dissonance kicks in, and all of a sudden you say to yourself, well, it must be something wrong with them. And this is how you justify it. And this is how people justify wars. When you go to war and you're killing people and you're shooting people down, it's a justification. Now, does it have its place? Once again, if it moves you, it's a good side and a bad side. That's game. I'm giving a whole bunch of pimp game tonight. We're gonna we're gonna have some pimp time tonight. The Pimp Hour with Nana. Say y'all. No, okay. So let me talk about this one person that called me this week. You have something to say before I jump into this? Go ahead, Shakina. Pass Shakina the mic. Pass Shakina the mic, yo. Give her the mic. Yo, DJ, turn that shit up so she can get loose. Go ahead.
Tell that you to turn it up. Tell that you to turn it up.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, you silly, I get silly. Okay. It was my question is from the podcast where they were talking about like making things interesting,
Yeah.
and I had to listen to it like 3 times. I don't
Which is
know, good. Like usually I'll listen to a podcast like once or twice, and then like some time will pass, and then I'll listen to it again. But for some reason, this one like had me stumped. And I'm trying to be curious with myself to figure out if it's just because it didn't click, because I'm so used to like hearing information and like being like, oh, okay, I know exactly how to filter this down into application. And with this podcast, I was like scratching my head when he's talking about, you know, when you're pursuing an idea and you're creating stepping stones, the things that we often need to pursue are not the obvious things. Otherwise, it wouldn't be, there would be problems. It would just be like, duh, this is what you do next. And so I had to like stop it and pause it and like journal a few times because I was trying to like break that down. But I still feel after listening to it for 3 times that I don't exactly know where I sit with it, even though it sounded great. Like he said, he was like, you know, you have people, I'm going to buy the book that he was talking about because I think I need a deep dive in it to really understand it. But like for things to not be intuitive, but then need to move forward, and then like understanding that there's like certain levels of risk that can happen, but then some shit you don't want to fuck with. And then it's like, how do I figure out like what are the things that are negotiable to play with, and how do I like understand where my margin is, where this needs to stay fixed. And so I guess there was just a lot because I couldn't per se take something away to work on, and I don't know if that's just my problem of how I'm consuming information.
Actually, there's a lot to work on. First thing you said that was absolutely, this one, I'm glad you brought this up. Why do you guys treat these podcasts as if you just, a class you just graduated from? Why don't you treat it like a CD when you buy a music CD? How many of you guys ever listened to a song one time and knew all the lyrics? How many of you guys listened to a song the first time and even understand where the author was coming from? Like, if a podcast comes to you, like if it's just really easy for you, and just a reminder, you know, it's like an inspiration and reminder, okay, cool. But one of the things I'm going to try to have in an advanced class is podcasts that give you headaches. If it gives you a headache, it means you're stretching. Remember, change is never going to feel good because your brain is designed to treat change as if you're being chased by a bear. Literally, that's exactly what your brain is. The same thing will light up your brain when you're being chased by a bear is what's going to happen to your brain when you're changing. Or there's language a person is going to use is going to seem boring. It's going to seem, I can't even stay with it right now, right? So, for example, this time when I'm listening to certain audiobooks, I can't do it when I'm driving. They require me almost to go into a deep, almost disconnect from reality. And then I have to go back and read the chapter after I listen to it. Right? And even when I'm reading it and listening to it, then I come back and listen to it again, I still hear new stuff. Like Nassim Taleb books, right? Or William Storr, or Daniel Kahneman books. You just can't got it, I went through that. You're like, okay, let's try this again, right? And you get a lot every time. So that's another thing. If you guys ever run across a podcast that is assigned to this class and it's difficult, listen to it again. Listen to it again. Listen to it again. And some of the stuff will start popping to the surface. When you hear a word you don't understand, recognize that. Look at those words. Let me give you a tool before you get back to that book, that podcast. Go get Bo Lotto's book about uncertainty. Bo Lotto. Where's my folder? Let me get his name up so I can make sure I spell his name correctly for you. Those of you at home, you can look this up too if you find any interest in this. 1 second. Huh? Which one? Yeah, Deviate. The book's called Deviate by Bo Lotto. So type in Bo Lotto, Deviate. Read that book first because some of you guys are uncomfortable with uncertainty and randomness. And before you can even get to randomness, learn to get comfortable with uncertainty. Because what I think what your biggest struggle, and when I'm listening to you, is you're trying to fit a podcast of uncertainty and how to move in uncertainty. So in this class, I've been trying to teach you guys that business is not a practice of certainty. That's a job. Job gives you a false sense of certainty. When you become an entrepreneur, you're now in the land of uncertainty and randomness. It's just like whatever you plan, your plans don't mean shit. Life is what life's going to do. Your job is to. It's almost like think about it like riding a surfboard. The ocean's going to do what it's going to do. It's your job to be able to navigate that and still achieve your goal of staying on top of your board, right? Where some of you guys are treating the surfboard as a skateboard on a smooth surface, and all they need to do is just follow these rules. I'm gonna get from point A to point B, or a train or something. That's not what it's like. Although corporate America is uncertain, but they just try to give you this false sense of certainty. Like if you get a check every 1st or 15th or once a month, and you got pension and you got all these other things, that gives you a sense of certainty. When you come out in the real world, you don't get that. And so then how do you live in that world? And what happens is you guys go say, okay, now cool. All right, the business entrepreneurship is uncertainty. But then you try to take your tools of certainty in the world of uncertainty and wonder why those tools don't fucking work. And then you start having these psychological breakdowns, and guess what you end up doing? You either try to make your business run like certainty, which is you smother your scaling capabilities of your business, or you leave this business shit alone, and you'd be like, yo, I'm going back to give me a job because this is just too uncomfortable. So part of that, you're a very strong human being. I don't even get into woman or man. You're just strong as fuck. And I'm talking about mentally, you're very strong. But I think where you want to go next with your business based upon previous conversations is learn to tackle uncertainty and stop trying to make your business certainty. And the more you embrace that, it also relieves the pressure from taking risk. See, if you have a certainty mindset, then a little bit of risk is big to you. When you have an uncertainty mindset, you realize risk is like walking every day. If you don't walk, you die. That's literally like if you ask Court right now, how often do you take risks? He'd be like, shit, I mean, how often do I not take risks? It'd be a better question. But some of you guys are leaving the corporate America, which is a false sense of certainty, and trying to adopt uncertainty practices, and it just doesn't translate. Go ahead, Sharish. Go ahead, Kaja.
Are you saying?
Gangsta Kaja.
Are you saying in response to your point you made to Shakina about uncertainty? Don't even have I'm having trouble understanding the difference between having no certainty having some kind of outline of a plan, even though you understand things probably will not go to plan, and then you have if-then contingencies in the back of your mind? Or are you just completely going by, we're just going to react to things as they happen?
No, you're not. Just you haven't. you have plan is like I intend to, right? But if that doesn't happen, how do I still move forward and do it a different way, right? Or okay, check out. Let me just use simple like working out. When I go work out, I have a perfect week plan, and then sometimes shit happens. So I have flexibility built in my plan. So when that shit happens, I can either go night, morning, noon, evening. Sometimes I may substitute a workout, move one workout over, maybe move my rest day over and move these things over. Sometimes it might be, well, I gotta go to the airport where I'm gonna walk to the airport all that time, get at least 10,000 steps in, get to my hotel, do some push-ups, because I'm still working on maintaining, driving my health. But when you do uncertainty and you can't hit the gym, you get this emotional anger, frustration, should starts to kick in, fairness, discouragement. Fuck it, if I can't work out, now I ain't been in the gym for 6 months. Right? Gosh, I need you to stop making me laugh. She said, that's me. Oh, that was kind of, you know what? I can't see your mouth. And that's a ventriloquist type shit. So I couldn't see your mouth, so I thought, oh, that's Lily. Lily always eating. So anyway, so the point is that, so it's knowing how to take advantage of those capabilities. Let's say you're working out and then you meet somebody who's doing a CrossFit. You decided to get into weightlifting, and somehow you were cycling one day. You're like, oh, I love this shit. And you shift as opposed to like, no, I can't do it. I'm just weightlifting. I just weightlift, right? And as you meet different people, you learn more and more and more and more. And maybe you come back and do weightlifting, but you do it differently now because you have a purpose. You know what I mean? Like, so you're still always growing your health, but you're expanding how that happens, as opposed to I'm going to 24-hour fitness and San Leandro, and if something happens, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I couldn't work out today, y'all, because my gym wasn't open. So it's realize, yeah, I'm moving in a direction. I have a tendency going in that direction, but how can you plan something that? This is what you got to accept. Let's say you plan on walking from here to New York, and you sit here in your house. You never walked there before, and you don't know anybody that's finished the journey that came back and got you, that can say is guaranteed these things will all be in place, because all the things he or she had access to changed along the way based upon maybe that store won't be open, maybe that person won't be able to give you that, maybe that vehicle won't be available, right? So once you take off, you're taking off with the knowledge you have. But on the journey, you learn things to accelerate moves, shortcuts, easier ways to do stuff. You might even find out halfway there, I don't want to go to New York anymore. I think I'm going to go to Florida instead, right? But if you stay rigid, you may work towards your own demise because you didn't take in consideration all the possible changes and be able to adapt to those changes because you was locked on a very narrow plan. You was too rigid on, it has to be this way, there's no way at all. And that's a flaw of your human brain, period. So the reason you want to work on yourself is for your ability to be more creative and more empathic and learn to be more diverse and see people and experience new things and change your mind on stuff. Because when you're running your business, that improves your strategy, your strategical thinking. Because that's how you have to think to move through this world. Is going, okay, let me just change this. Okay, I still got the same outcome. Or, okay, let me make a move today that won't unfold for another 2 or 3 months. And where right now it looks like I took a loss, but I know that I'm gonna get the win on the back end, right? You're making all these moves because you're moving everything around. And you have all these dynamic moving plans that's all moving you in the same general direction. But you started off to go to motherfucking New York, and you might fucking end up in Africa. Because all these different things come into existence that you did not know when you took off. So if you were to map exactly a hardcore itinerary of what you're gonna do every day between here and New York, what did you even learn? What did you even achieve? Did you even achieve anything at all? Did you even make it? You're gonna find out real quick that itinerary is gonna be broken down because you've never been there before. You never walked from here to Africa. So how would you even know that itinerary is gonna work? All it's gonna do is create frustration and even discouragement along the way because it was built in your head. It ain't got nothing to do with the journey you're on. The journey you're on is full of uncertainty. If you have that's why, okay, go to Tony Robbins, you get excited. Oh my God, Nana. I went to Tony Robbins. He said, Nana, he's going to make me start a business. He talked to me about some of my flaws. I'm ready to go. I'm on my way. And then you take off on this journey, right? Okay, it's time to hire some people. Oh, he didn't tell you about that? It's time to make certain everyday decisions about this technology or software using. He didn't tell you about that either? Oh, okay. It's time to think about like balancing. Now, he may have told you about balancing your meals, and he didn't tell you your loved one's about to leave you, and you're about to have these emotional dip, and how to prevent you from, and how to analyze your behavior to make sure it doesn't impact destroying your team. Is that in your blueprint plan, your business plan about if these things happen, what I'm going to? No, it's not. It's not. So it's the reason you have to practice being an entrepreneur because you got to constantly develop yourself. So when those times happen, you're in the best place to make the best possible decision you possibly can make. Then you want to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs that you can say bounce ideas off things. Say, hey, Kaja, are you okay? Why did you just say that? Think about what you just said. And you're like, oh yeah, I was. Man, my grandmother gave me fruitcake last night. It had me fucked up. Anybody get fruitcake from their grandparents? That's the worst shit. I still don't understand who gives fruitcake. Giving somebody fruitcake is a curse. That should be in your like spiritual, anti-sage is fruitcake. Anyway, I just made that shit up, but that's how I feel when I get fruitcake. I feel like it's just cursing me or it's the sign of the devil. Have you ever bit fruitcake before? That shit gets in your nose and nostrils is so bad. Oh my God. You smell that shit like 10 minutes later. I smell fruitcake. This shit's terrible. It's just, oh my God. Oh, go ahead, Lily. Oh my God, fruitcake. Yeah, don't say anything about fruitcake.
So my question was, I don't know if you saw what I attached to the email, but it was a picture. You ever see the meme with the guy when the guy is like digging through the ground and then he walks away and it's like diamonds left and he just gave up too early?
I just talked about that earlier. Were you sleeping or were you eating?
Say that
You
again?
hear the part? You hear me talk about that part? I brought that into a conversation saying that that's a myth.
No, you said that today?
I just said it, yeah. Did y'all hear me say that earlier about that? Yeah. Turn your peers. Can anybody fill that in?
I've been woke. I ain't falling asleep not one time.
No, I just wasn't.
All right, so my question was, and like connected to that was, what's the difference between it's good to quit versus like what the lady was talking about versus giving up too soon and not sticking with it to see the good or like the light?
Cost benefit analysis.
Huh?
Cost benefit analysis.
What is that?
Meaning how much is going to cost you to stay with this idea? Is it beneficial?
Okay, I remember her saying that part.
Oh, yeah, right. So what happens is you can do a cost benefit analysis and saying, okay, like for example, there's some ideas that if you stuck with it for the next 20 years, it might actually yield fruition. But here's the problem: you're going to die soon, so you ain't got too much time left, right? You say you got 70 years left, right? And it's probably ideas will take you 20 years. Was it really worth those 20 years? Right? What are the ideas because you hack and got within 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? So sometimes we stick to these ideas because we personalize these ideas because ideas become a part of our character, our personality, and we stick to them too goddamn long. You got to sit down and go, what is it going to cost me to get to the idea? Sometimes it's cheaper to leave that idea the fuck alone. I've seen people buy hell equipment and produce nothing besides a thought and a couple of words and a logo. But they like $30,000 in the hole. I know people right now. If I was the wrong person, I can start calling out names like a list of people who spend hella cash and went nowhere. It's cost benefit analysis. When does it make sense? When are you spending too much money, too much time, too much attention on something that you don't need such low results? And is there another place you can apply those same skills and benefit from it? That's a folding moment, right? That's when you should think about it's time to pivot. So you can have an idea, I'm gonna build this in my business tomorrow to help my business go to the next level and realize, well, shit, by the time it yields me a profit, I've lost $150,000 or $500,000. Does this even make sense? What else could I use that $500,000 to invest in my business to actually accelerate its growth in the direction it's already going in? Are the areas I'm already aware of? So as you one of the things that you talk about, like when you guys take the first half of the class, of course we're gonna talk about this a lot, you have to know your numbers. You have to put your business in the language of numbers to be able to see the equation to do cost benefit analysis. Now here's the funny part. Now that you got that clue from me, you should leave this class tonight, jump on YouTube and look at all these cost benefit analysis equations until you feel comfortable with it. And I don't care if it takes you 2 or 3 months to feel comfortable with it. You have nothing to lose. But what you should never do is sit in this class and make me the beginning and the end. Because guess what? Like I said, if I had to remind you what I said at the beginning of this class, we're all flawed, right? I didn't say y'all flawed and I'm hella cool. I said we all flawed. Don't listen to this flawed motherfucker by yourself all the time. Make sure you evaluate, you go home and you look at the stuff I share with you. And if there's something slightly off, join the class and join the team, bring it back to the rest of us, say, hey, I got some stuff I want to add, or hey, Donna, here's some things you actually highlighted wrong, which would then encourage me. Because I rely upon, it's like, the only way that you should be able to listen to me and be comfortable with that answer is, I think it's called just enough, something just enough. It's a mental thing where we just need a little bit of evidence. We go, okay, that's good enough for me, we keep going. But then we realize we compile too much junk. Learn to stop and say, okay, let me look it up as well. Then, don't see me as a hero, see me as a partner in your growth. So then, help your partner get better as well if you find something that can enhance my insight. Encourage me, because in the same token, this is why we say don't make us the guru, because if you sit here in this class and you say, hey, Nana said, or if somebody ever asks you, where'd you get that from? You're like, well, you know, no. Well, who's not? Nana said, as opposed to, yeah, Nana said this, and then I looked it up for myself and did this research. I try to take ownership of this information. And this is how you gain your ultimate respect from other people, right? It's like when you have a job, you're so used to just people dictating to what you do, you just do it, get your paycheck, go home. But when you try to become an entrepreneur, you're trying to gain ownership of this information so you can use it, not go, what's that thing Nana said do when this thing happened? Call him up. Damn, he don't never answer his phone. He tripping. That's because you didn't take ownership. Take ownership. Trust me, if you teach me anything new, I don't think I'm just gonna walk out here and be like, yeah, Kaja said, so that's good enough for me. Ask anybody to know me. And my wife is 10 times worse. I can't even tell her shit without her be like, Well, Google says it's different. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong? Am I lying? Am I lying? Am I lying? Shh, Google, that's a Google queen. Shit. Google should be called Shakira. So, yeah. Are we cool so far? You got anything online you want to say, Shabisha? Are we good? Yeah, online. That's okay. We're going to have fun on in the house. Tell online. I still love y'all, but we about to get down. So I'm going to ask y'all a question. I want y'all to play. I want y'all to feed into this one. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, it's a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So with the podcast, specifically the one Shakina was talking about, the one, I forgot the name of it, but it was discussed. No, it was about accountability, stepping stones.
Yeah.
That podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm breaking it down in my head, and I'm kind of getting it. But the only thing I'm struggling with is how to apply it on a lower level, because I'm not scaling. I'm just getting started.
No, you're always scaling.
So I'm always scaling?
You may not be scaling to the highest level, but how much your business done? The first month it was open, how much did it make?
First month? $300.
So you cool with that for the rest of your life? Don't curse.
No.
Okay, good. I know you want to say,
Hell.
okay. So you want to scale to like maybe what? How much you like to make a month to make you like you be happy with that? Just right now. We don't say you won't grow that, but just for right now.
I say right now, I say 5.
5,000 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this is a pimp class. Don't make me pimp you. Let's get those numbers up a little bit higher.
Okay.
Look at you. Look, that's $60,000 a year, girl. Look here.
Oh, wait. My bad.
Listen
Okay.
here, girl. You send me. Look, I can make you some money. 5 G's. What?
Okay.
Is it that easy still? Come on. I mean, I've been out the game too
Let's
long.
say 20,000 a month.
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. A little bit.
20,000.
Oh, Shakina, that's your. You better take, man.
20K.
If you see you hang out with a dude named Goldie, just pull her to the side. Don't. Hey, let him go. Okay, so 300 to 20,000. How much scaling is that? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a degree of scaling, right? Now you can, like he talked about in the scaling book. If you've been reading it, his uncle and his father stopped at a certain point, and they were good with that, and that's cool for some of us, right? Some of us are more ambitious, right? And for different reasons, different motivations. We'll talk about that some other day. So you are scaling. And so those principles he was talking about is absolutely from the beginning of how you should think about business.
Is there a difference between growing and scaling?
All growing is scaling, right? Smoke a joint to that one. So, that shit deep, nah. It's just spicy, huh? I'm fucking with her for the rest of her life for that. Okay, so she got me today. So in a sense, the whole podcast is the opposite to what you've been told about growing a business, which has been you plan an idea, you execute it, because by default, all human beings are goal-oriented. We're just goal-oriented animals. But being goal-oriented and randomness is a challenge for all of us. Say it again, being goal-oriented in a world that's random, meaning things are always changing, unpredictable. None of us in this room can predict the future. But yet a plan is an assumption that you may have the possibilities of predicting the future, right? And so in that context there, that's a natural struggle that we all go to. So that's why self-help people get you all the time by saying, if you stick to the 6-point plan, you can become successful. They just lie to you. They plan upon your human need, but it has nothing to do with the reality that you're actually in. So that if you go back to that podcast again, get that same Bolotto book about Deviate, read that first. After you read that first, go back and listen to that podcast after you finish the book. And then after you read the podcast, there's a difference between a podcast and a book. A podcast is anecdotal. The book is the knowledge. You're not gonna get the same level. A lot of books I pick up is from podcasts. I already hear a guest and go, oh, I like what this person's talking about. I go get their book immediately and dive deeper into the concept. If I go back and listen to that podcast, it's really the surface. They're just scratching the surface. But so many of us listen to so much surface talk that we think we're knowledgeable because we can reference all this surface information. But if I put you, it's almost like you can tell me everything about football, or you can tell me anything about baseball or basketball, but when I put you in the game, you can't make a jump shot because you haven't learned enough about the game in depth. Or somebody that you coach a team, you could be like the Madden king or the NBA 2K king, but as soon as I ask you to coach a real team, you can't even coach a little league team because you don't have, it's too anecdotal, it's too surface. So it's so important to not rely upon just class to learn. Remember, your best educator is yourself. I'm partnering with you to educate yourself. I'm not educating you, and you're following me. That's why I say we're peers in this class. Well, there's no leadership in this class. It's your desire to make me a leader because that's part of your brain. It's not you. It's just how your brains work, right? But just know, because I'm trying to train you to be an entrepreneur, I'm training future leaders. Everybody in this room is leaders. I'm not training you to be just somebody. Now, you can be in this class and not want to be a leader and become enhanced. You can become enhanced. But what's important is to realize you have to take ownership of your own, because when you're in the wild, ain't nobody coming for you. Ain't nobody coming for you. There ain't nobody gonna train you. Ain't no programs coming. They gonna run no seminars for you to go to. Ain't nobody. If you don't seek out a seminar, there ain't no seminars. If you don't seek out upgrades, there ain't no upgrades. And when you fall, there ain't even a sad party for you. Matter of fact, the bank won't even talk to you no more. Hi, excuse, get in line, please. Talk to customer service. They have your chat line. I don't have no more money in my bank account. Will somebody talk to me? I'm sorry. We're busy right now. Call back tomorrow. So it's cold how the game works, right? And so in a while, it's a different game. And so letting go of that idea of dependency is so important, and see me as a partnership or a resource, not a dependent tool. So as I hand out information, because trust me, even when I'm learning I'm working on material for the class, which is in order to be a teacher, you have to be a student, a full-time student, right? You have to keep learning. You can't, there's no grand poobah, I got this, don't worry about this, I know what I'm doing. I'm constantly trying to prove myself wrong, and I do it all the time. But I'm also reading material outside the material I'm teaching you guys all the time in addition to that. In addition, I'm reading material on shit I like to do. So I got 3 different categories I'm just jumping between all the time. I barely listen to music except like my brain says, all right, enough, turn on some music, goddammit. You done read for 3 or 4 hours per day, you listen to all these, goddamn, music time. But for the most part, I learned to practice, and what I found is that when you practice all the time, if somebody ever throw a punch at you, meaning negotiation, or you meet a new client, or you're trying to win over a new client, you'll be surprised how fast your tools will come out. You'll be, God damn, right? But if you don't practice, you'll find yourself like looking for tools. I'm a good person. I feed my kids. Right? Because you don't have nothing. You really don't have nothing. And you'll see that all the time when people are faking it till they make it. They rely upon like persuasion, charisma, or entertainment, as opposed to I can bond. You know one of the best ways to bond with people? If they think you see the world the way you see the world. And if you go into a specialty place or like a certain type of job requirement, or are you trying to show up in a certain kind of place, the more you show ownership of knowledge, the more you gain trust, and more people bond with you. But when you guys want to have a skill, but if I ever drilled you, somebody told me the other day that they said, they told me that this young lady called me, ex-alumni of this class. She said, Nana, you know, what I really want to do in life is I really want to teach. And I said, let me ask you a question. She said, what? I said, how many books do you read? What kind of books are you reading right now? She told me 3 books. They're all about food and organic shit. I said, okay. Tell me about the last book you read about the psychology of teaching. She said, I haven't read it. I said, do me a favor. Stop lying. Your sister, stop lying to me. You don't want to be no goddamn teacher. Because you want to be a teacher, you'll find reading about teaching all the fucking time exciting. You just found some go-to answer to give me because it's an area you feel I can probably get away with doing that. You don't love it. So that's why you probably suck as a teacher. I don't give a fuck what people tell you, all the feedback you get. There's teachers at the worst schools, the people like, oh, you're the best teacher ever. They can't even get into Laney College. That's the reality. So some of you guys think you guys are tight as fuck, but you have no love for what you do. That means you probably suck. You're probably mediocre. When you like what you do, you become obsessed with that. You want to read about it. You want to talk to other people do it. You want to be around it. You want to watch it. You can be going to the movies, and if there's a movie that happens to be about whatever you do, you'd be like, okay, I'll get back to the other movie first and go and watch the movie about what you want to do. But if it's just some shit you entertaining yourself with, you'll be like, yeah, I'm this. You'll fall in love with the title, but you're not in love with the process. If you're not in love with the process, you don't love it. Keep it 100. You gotta love the practice of shit. If you don't want to practice on your own, how good you think you're really gonna be? Remember, when you get into business, it ain't about you showing up and, oh my God, the world will bend. That's your God-like complex kicking in and your naive realism kicking in. When you show up, you're nobody. You gotta become somebody. Well, no, I am somebody, yeah, to your mama, but to this business, you ain't shit. You got to become shit by how you show the fuck up. You got to make the investments. Investments in your mind, investments in your environment, investments in your resources, investments in your tools. Some of y'all starving y'all shit because I don't want to spend money for all that. When you run a business, it's not called spending money, it's called investing with your broke ass. That's real talk. If you're not willing to invest in your shit, you don't love this shit. Some of y'all only want to be rich because you think rich is going to heal that pain. Hack the pain, and guess what? The money, now you can live with a different level of money. You're like, you can instantly hack happiness if you hack that pain. Stop trying to get drunk with money and try to avoid that pain. Money doesn't remove the pain. Money ain't gonna make you no better. Matter of fact, if you lonely, go to the gym. It's better than money. Ain't nobody looking at your money like that. Women, hey, women, tell the truth. How many dudes y'all know y'all messed with was broke as fuck, but he would look hella good though? Come on now. And I can tell you, I can speak for the men. A certain shape hit that door, ain't no brother asking how much money she got. Nobody. Matter of fact, they checking their pockets, make sure they got enough to take her out. That's 100. But many of y'all think, oh, if I wear these Gucci shoes, I got this much money in the bank, I'm gonna become more valuable. If I drive this car, nobody even know what kind of car. Right now, everybody in this class, I don't know what kind of car y'all driving. Whether it's a Datsun B210 or a Tesla, I don't know which one. And I don't give a shit. It's unfortunately you do. Keep it in 100. So, check this out. I'm having fun tonight, because fuck it. You know, I had a crazy week. I promise you, it wasn't y'all. Y'all, I love y'all to death. Good to see y'all, but some of the shit that came across my table this weekend, it was like, wow. I heard a phrase, and it said, and I want y'all to unlock it before I unlock it. It said, you will never be free if you have a mindset of a victim. Can somebody unlock that for me? Anybody? Somebody? What do you think that means to you? First of all, I need to kneel not to go to this. I need her to never do that again. She did exactly that. She raised her. I said, wait a minute, did she just do that? I need her to never do that again. Go ahead.
Only if you promise to retire your British accent when you were telling the story earlier with the butler.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah. But I still love you. It was a great story.
Oh, God.
Okay. For me, as somebody that struggled in that area for many years of allowing a victim mentality to try to govern kind of like how I showed up. Not that I've 100% overcome that, but I've definitely made some strides. I would say that that statement is very true because once you shed a light on it, you really don't understand. Well, once you shed the light on it, you gain understanding as to how much of your life it impacted, like your thoughts, how you saw yourself, how you interact with people. So it really does, it has a hold on you. It has a hold on you, and it impacts more than you understand or you realize until, if you're fortunate enough to have people that have done work in that area or are knowledgeable in that area to start pointing that out to you. You can go your whole life and never really reach your full potential because you have these stories, which I thank Nana for sharing, giving me some more insight on that. You have these stories that you tell yourself that you're not deserving, you're not worthy. Maybe you've never seen it modeled in your family or anybody connected to you, so you think that that's the limitation that you have in life. So I think it's absolutely true that you've got to move away from being a victim. One of the things that you shared with me that I think is worth sharing with the group is that you kind of mentioned that even if you were somebody that was victimized in some way, you're not being victimized now unless you choose to be a victim. Because whatever that act was, whatever that experience was, it happened. It's behind you. Hopefully it's not still happening to you. Mm-hmm. But you tell yourself this story and you're really reliving it when people or the situation is long past, they're moved on, they're not thinking about you, but you're living in this victim mentality and mindset that is totally robbing you of experiences you could have.
Tight. Anybody want to add to that? She sprained her elbow. Okay. So as long as you have the mindset of a victim, you'll never be free.
Oh man, I don't know. I just feel like I told the story of myself being a victim so long because I didn't know how else to show up to the world. I didn't know who else I was other than that victim because that's all that I knew. So it kind of felt like, it was kind of like knowing when to fold, if we use the whole knowing when to fold them thing. It felt better of me to play that story versus just to accept that I needed to start something new. And me staying in that was me staying in my comfort zone. So I think being a victim, I also look at that as our comfort zone, no matter how we may look at it. So you're never really free if you just stay in that comfort zone. And it's hard to step into somebody you don't know. It's hard to step into the person you want to become, but you feel like you're leaving your old self behind. It's kind of like you acting like it never happened kind of thing. So it's like a hard back and forth. Like, I don't want to leave you behind, but I won't be able to grow, or like me being a victim will be like my glass ceiling. Because when you talk about the story, you think you're strong. Like, I survived this and this and that, but it's like, okay, but how long are you going to say that same story? You've been saying it for years. So, yeah.
Okay, keep adding. I want you guys to, before I don't want to pour this, I want y'all to hear what y'all guys
That just
process.
hit me in the chest, Lily. You know what's hella dope about this class is you never outgrow it. Like, there's a lot of things in circles and situations and clubs that you just simply outgrow, right? And I've always like prided myself as like being a brainiac. Like, I couldn't just be smart. I had to be hella smart. And like, that's a story I carried into my adulthood. And for the last 2 years, like, Nana will get on me like, Shakina, you could just be so much greater than you ever thought if you just let go of your fucking stories. And I was like, but Nana, my stories make me who I am. But and also, I mean, I'm totally being honest when I say that. But I think that what's hella dope about this class is, and what's hella dope about what you said, because you kind of pulled together how I feel when Nana tells me to let go of my stories, but I just don't articulate it because I don't want to sound like a punk. I'll be like, shit, I know I should be able to think past this and separate this, but I can't right now. But I think like to that statement that we're only as strong and as capable as our most limited idea of ourselves. So if we're living in a space of victimhood, whatever is our lowest thought or belief of ourself is where our restriction starts. So if you don't feel good enough, like, that's going to bleed through in everything you do. Or if you see yourself as a victim, well, I'm like this because X, Y, and Z happened to me, like, that is going to be your glass ceiling. And I think that what's dope about this class is it's forever challenging those ideas and stories that we're telling ourselves, but in a way where it's not this super dramatic funeral per se. It's like, we're not telling you to go kill yourself. We're saying, close the chapter to this and start a new chapter. And I think that that's the thing that gets me so excited about this class is giving me permission to dream bigger than my experiences that happened to me in the past that allowed me to grow way larger than I ever thought possible. But that process of growth has only happened when I divorced older stories of being a victim. And it doesn't just happen all at once, which is why I say, like, you don't really ever outgrow the class, because there's always something that you're thinking to yourself that's not fact-based, or that's not, like, in support of the future you that you want to become. And so that this class is just constantly, like, sharpening my ideas and perception of myself and reality and who I want to become and how I need to pivot along my journey to get there. So yeah.
Anybody else? Good? Oh, keep rolling.
I think I'm probably going to repeat everything everyone else just said, but I believe it's taking accountability for who we are, who we were, and who we want to become, and taking all of those different pieces and versions of ourselves and understanding the destination is always the same for everybody on this planet. But it's the journey and learning who we're going to become along the way. So once we start releasing who we thought we were, who we thought we could become at some point, because at some point we all had this vision of, I'm going to be this XYZ person, and now I'm not that person. So who am I supposed to be now? And letting go of that idea, letting go of the victimhood of and being entrapped and imprisoned by that idea of who I'm supposed to be. Because the supposed to be is usually where we really get trapped. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. I should. So just taking all of those pieces together and just saying, okay, that's not happening. I think I'm going to release that now. I'm going to let it go. It shows up. It's like, I got a better one. I'm sorry. It's like anybody who ever quit smoking cigarettes, you will always crave a cigarette, no matter how long it's been since you had one. It will sneak up on you out of nowhere. One day, 10 years down the line, you haven't touched a cigarette. You don't even like the smell of smoke. And then one day it just sneaks up on you. Be like, dang, I want a cigarette. It's still there. It's just realizing that's no longer who I am anymore. That's no longer what I have. I'm no longer addicted to cigarettes. I don't even know why that came up, but it's still always there. Same thing with any other addiction. So we have an addiction to who we thought we were. We can, just put it away, set it aside, realize it still exists. It's going to always be there, and keep moving.
Pimp at 102. Y'all, Lily is, for those of you at home, Lily is off the hook tonight. Go ahead.
When you asked the question, the first thing I thought in my mind was how were we defining free?
How you what?
How we were defining free when you say getting free as it relates to keeping a victim mentality. And I think from a business perspective, I feel like there could be some value in holding on to a bit of that. Because I know you've said in previous classes, your business is who your customer thinks you are, not who you are. Mm-hmm. If the business you're in is predicated on relationships or a sense of shared compatibility, whether it's genuine or not, if you view me, if your potential demographic who maybe has that in that demographic and you feel like you see that in me, it might be to my advantage to let some of that out, because that could bind me to a demographic that then enhances my business, right? It could be predicated on, okay, we're all going to develop from here together because we all have the same issue. Or it could be, I had the same issue you had, I'm not in that same place where you are, and through my business X, whatever it is, you can get to where I am. So I think the free is in quotes for me, because you can use your victimhood to influence your business if you do it right.
I challenge you in a second. Okay. You know what though? Don't you ever stop being the way you are. Because I think you're probably one of the best things in the world for this class. Well, all you guys are, because I've said that about Lily, and I said that about Shakina, and I said about Shabisha, so I know I'm sounding like a player now. But I love the way you approach stuff. And I'll come back to it in a second. Okay. Because you're just so human. You're so normal. It's ridiculous. It's nothing like, I have no problems with the way you're processing nothing. Go ahead. So when I say I challenge it, I'm not challenging you. I'm challenging principles that are baked in, but I understand where they're coming from.
Okay.
Because the way you said that is the way more, you speak like a black woman. a healthy black woman who share a part of a healthy part of our culture. And by, if anybody knows you, you are a rich cultural person. Like, you know, like it's people like you that is why we have a culture, right? Because people like you keep it going. But it's also, remember, culture helps you narrow your focus on the world because it's part of the here and now for our survival. But it has its limitations because it also carries out the trauma and some of the historical challenges of the past. So you're pretty close, but I'm gonna come back. I want everybody to finish before I jump into my addition, because I think everybody's chiseling at the same rock. Go ahead.
I say part of being a victim is also being a victim of yourself and your own way of thinking. So an example that immediately came to mind was just my way of thinking. When I said I want to make $5,000,
You understand?
just ain't making no $5,000, but $5,000. But it's just such a small way of thinking, and I realized that that's just me still being a victim of my corporate America thinking, oh, I'm gonna need to make this amount so I can make this amount a year so that I can do this, and I realized that it's gonna take time. But in order for me to truly be free and really go after everything I want as an entrepreneur, I still need to take those steps and free myself from the corporate America thinking that's internalized, that I didn't even know was still there. I didn't know was still here until this class.
Oh, I can take it further. Not only corporate America, poverty, because if you said 5,000, you've been exposed to poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Crowism, which has been normalized in your culture past through love and play. Slavery, which has set the cultural standards. Crack era, which is your current hip hop era combination, that's also creating distortion. The Bay Area, there's so many things that just play into your thoughts are not, your thoughts is really your own.
Yeah.
There's so many experiences play into that. And as you discover that, once again, the person you have to learn the most about is yourself.
Yeah.
So many of us can't wait to take this class, go analyze everybody in our family, and continue to just not see ourselves, right? Matter of fact, here's another hack. We need to have just like a hack slide. It goes, hack, another hack. People who practice intense fairness are usually the most flawed people in the room. Because they're so busy looking at everybody else, they don't see themselves. And they use everybody else to hide themselves. So the way they control the environments, they control you so you can control them. Like, oh, I don't feel fear. That's not fear. This is not fear. So let me get into, let me add a layer. I think me and you guys are right with this, but I'm gonna come back to you. But this layer is kind of like my dispute. So last week I was sitting with my business partner. These all come from stories that happened over the last 2 weeks. And, you know, I'm always learning about different stuff in scaling. So I put together this cool little formula. I called my business partner up and say, hey, this is some things I want to do with Hope. And I talked to Core Still. And some things I got to do with 510 Media. And they were brilliant ideas. I knew they were brilliant. Even business partner was like, yo, that's some brilliant shit. Let's get that shit going. I said, but you know what's so crazy? I wouldn't have these ideas if I saw myself as a victim. He said, what? Your brain will only see what you give it to see. If you say victim, it's going to spend all of its resources on defense. If you look at your customers and you see yourself as victim, it's also going to make you get in their pockets, listen to their stories too far, overserve them. Overserve them is just as bad as underserving them. Serving people is finding that sweet spot. Because remember, we don't know who we are. So if you just ask me what I want, I might tell you any fucking thing. Don't mean that's what you should give me, right? I mean, that's why Steve Jobs says most people most people don't know what the fuck they want. So if you ask them, their brain, they're gonna tell you the go-to story, but they don't know what the fuck they want. And so when you stop seeing yourself as a victim, you free your mind to start focusing on what can you do in this world? How can you move forward? What can you change? How can you compete? How can I catch up? Or how can I get in front? So for example, Kanye comes out and says these things about Jewish community. Waste of fucking human time. Let's just say for the sake of just horrible argument, he was 100% right. What you gonna do with that? What the fuck is gonna do? If a certain group is in front because of some mindset the group has inherited that allow them to be in front in a race, you realize that's an argument of envy, right? As opposed to focusing on how do we perform better, how do we learn from that, and how do we grow so we can get in the race. If they're exploiting you, the other question is, why am I so exploitable? See, that's a non-victim mind. A victim mind will be stuck with where Kanye's at. But what if that is? Well, they did do this. Oh my God. And all your mental, powerful, creative energy is in defense space. You can't score because you're focusing on what shit's wrong. You're like the Ben Simmons of business. You can't make a bucket. Oh, is it Ben Simmons? What's his name? Yeah. Can't make a bucket if you say, because your brain is in the wrong place. And so freeing your mind from victimization opens your mind to developing creativity and engagement and in giving back and investing and expanding and growing. But it can't do that. Like, I'll give you another example. So I had a young lady call me, and she committed a horrible act when she was younger, where she saw her husband do something that was inappropriate, but her brain flipped it. Literally flipped it. Your brain has the ability to hallucinate that code. Flipped it. So what she saw, her brain said, well, no. You guys heard about that? Like if I've heard cases of women being molested and their mother walked in and blamed the daughter. Brain flipped it, right? That's hallucination. Your brain will do that. Because your brain wants this other story to be so true, so bad. And it's kind of the distance to say, I love him. I love this story. I love my daughter. This can't be right. And your brain flips it so fast, you won't see it happen. So then she gets older, and she snaps out of the flip breaks, and now she's back to, I saw this. This was wrong. So then her brain goes into guilt and should. I should have. So she's on the phone with me crying up a storm. I ain't got a tear for her. And the reason I don't have a tear for her because I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with you. And we're not about to play this emotional loop because I'm not going to give you this time. I said, let me tell you what happened. I said, you've been pro-black for a long time. And you know how you say, white people did this hundreds of years ago, and they should have done it, and this is why you don't like them? That's exactly how you treat yourself right now. That mindset ain't gonna work for long. At some point, it's now destroying you, because every time you made a mistake in your past, it becomes a sin of your future. I said, well, let me help you out. So let me give it white, black, a little bit more context. Have you ever tried to teach a black child politics? That shit, if you ain't got no kids and you don't know what I'm talking about, get you some kids and then try to teach them something political about the world, or even try to tell them about black racism as a whole, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, right? My daughter looks at me like, Daddy, don't do this no more. These are just words that just they just hurt my brain. Because she has no context to apply it to. So what happens to a white kid when they're born? You think they're gonna just own their ancestral bad behavior? Fuck no. Many of them are like, man, I grew up playing soccer. Now you telling me I gotta own all this shit? Dog, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah, but you might say, well, yeah, but they benefit from systemic racism. Yeah, you do too. It's called iPhone. Somebody been impressed with that motherfucker. But you don't get the iPhone like, yeah, I'm about to fuck these kids up today. Let me pay for this right now. You don't do that. You be like, oh, this is a beautiful phone. iPhone, this is better than your Samsung, Nana. Because, because, it's just things your phone can do. You understand me? But anyway, it's spicy. So, but the point is that so you baby, fucking my point. But the reality is that, but yet you hate this, as this white kid gets older, you look at this white person who has done nothing to you, but he echoes characteristics of your oppressor, or your oppression, or historical oppression. And you immediately project hate because your brain says if somebody did something in the past, they should always be responsible. And you're looking for them to apologize or make it right. I was born yesterday playing with blocks. I'm white. What the fuck are you talking about? All white people can't apologize for that shit. You make more money than me. What the fuck am I supposed to give you? If I give you a card, you won't even see it. You make too much money. Right? So that flawed way of thinking, when you use it on yourself, is horrible. Because you'll look at your past like, I should have, oh my God, this makes me a horrible person today. Even though I was 20 years of age, young, dumb, and had a mental thing that played a mental trick on my brain, I'm a horrible person in my 50s. Oh, I'm gonna cry on the phone with you now. I'm like, get the fuck off my phone. I'm not doing this shit. I'm gonna give you game, give you some insight. Now leave me the fuck alone, call your girlfriends. I'm not the right dude for this. I just not that type of dude. Don't call me with that shit. Like call, because you always somebody got a girlfriend be like, oh girl, oh hell no, no he didn't. Let's talk about it. Cool. You call me, I'll be like, oh, ABC, what the fuck is you want me to say? Don't ask for no 1, 2, 3, because I'm gonna say the same shit again. Goodbye. Right? But the reason I did that is because one, I don't want to be on the phone with some shit that now you're looping in your head, and then you're using your emotional stress to win attention, and I'm not giving that shit to you. I don't have time for that shit. Use that superpower on somebody else. And so, but the point I'm trying to highlight is that the victim mindset came back to bite her. The victim mindset will return on you in so many different ways, and you're always asking somebody to show up to give you something to fix the fucking victim space. When we just said being an entrepreneur is you own your own. Ain't nobody coming, G. So as long as you're a victim, you're never gonna, you can talk about freedom all you want in some far off land. You might as well call freedom the Bermuda Triangle, because that's about as close as you're gonna get to the motherfucker. But the reality is that it requires you to have a different mindset. You won't even see the clues of freedom when you're in the victim space. It's not, your brain is based upon neuroscience, your brain is not even capable of even like witnessing, seeing. Do you realize you don't see everything as it is? Your senses is only designed to see only enough for you to survive. There's billions of things you can't see right now that's in your environment because your brain has limitations. Your blink alone removes 10% of your vision for your life. There's so many things you just can't sense, smell, hear, see, feel, taste, register, understand. And when you add another block of victimization, you cut off a whole source of information that you can't get until you let that go, and it opens up. Talk to a woman. You know, growing up, sad to say, 90% of the women I dated were molested. 95, maybe 98. Shit, I think I only had 3. There wasn't. And I'm talking about that's a few women. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna get myself no trouble. But I had a good life. Anyway, point is this. Don't you go. Don't you stop it. Don't you stop. Cut that noise out. So the point is this. That's an epidemic, especially amongst our community. Later on, I found out there's a lot of men who also been molested. It's just less visible, which blew my mind. I didn't learn about that until my 40s. And that shit shot the shit out of me. I'm sitting next to this dude, buff as fuck. He's one of those like community type dudes that if a fight break down, he can walk in the room and Cass be like, man, put your gun down. And I'm telling him about, I'm on this project. And, man, all these African black women have been molested, man. It's just crazy. And we're not, and with all this molestation, we don't have groups formed about how do we protect our kids. This shit is like a psychological crazy ass thing to me. He's like, yeah, I was molested too. And he said this shit so normal. And he said like right here, and I promise you, it felt like he hit me with a stun gun. I'm just sitting like this. Because he was like you couldn't even imagine it, right? Because you think molestation, you think, oh, it's going to cause men to be this. But it's so common, and it's so integrated, it's so normalized, right? But you ever talk to a woman who's been molested? She's judging so much through her previous experiences, and she can't even help it. And every year she's making choices, and she's going through pains and torture because she's stuck in that space. So on our retreat, we tell people you got to forgive, not forget, not say it's okay. You have to forgive those who did you wrong in the past so you can move on to your healthy future. Otherwise, they will molest you for the rest of your life. When you are a victim in your brain, the reason you'll never be free, because you're being victimized for the rest of your fucking life. When you said the other day, yeah, she shouldn't have said that. The reason I was like, I don't know what that means. Because I'm like, what did she do? Everybody in this world most people in this world don't believe what I believe. If I sat with anybody, if me and Obama sat together long enough, I'd be like, man, that motherfucker's stupid. That shit he does. What the fuck he talking about? Right? And he gonna say the same thing, that motherfucker's stupid. What the fuck he talking about? And there might be some shit I'd be like, that dude did what? Obama might be in a freaky orgy right now. But can he run this? Okay, girl, if you don't stop. but if he don't, the question is, can he run this nation? Can he run this nation flawlessly? Or can he run it better than the next man? Are you looking for a leader or are you looking for a perfectionist? Two different conversations. But victimization makes you an unrealistic judger of men and women. If you ever pay attention to the social justice, go back to that fairness argument. Unfair, unfair, unfair. No one ever asked him, so what do you do with your life? How are you showing up to life? How the fuck you tell me my life is unfair? You ain't read one motherfucking book, ain't went to one motherfucking gym, took one motherfucking class, ain't had one day of hardship. You broke his fucking is unfair. Was it fair that I had to go through all that shit I just named 10 times 1,000 and still suffer broken knees, motherfucking brain blew up 3 or 4 times with all this fucking reading. I ain't got enough sleep in a long motherfucking time, eating motherfucking McDonald's so I can get through this lesson. And now I'm supposed to be punished because it's unfair that I sacrificed and you didn't and you performed and I'm bad and you good? We don't go to that level of story. It's just that, black women and white men and black people and just stop. Can we just stop for a minute? And you won't see those opportunities, those cracks, for example, if you stop seeing yourself as a victim, you'll realize, ain't nothing holding you back. It's just shit we don't know. And there's actually hella opportunities out there we ain't even exploited yet. But if you see it as a victim, you have no reason to look for that. You're like, fuck it. Go ahead.
I love how the book that we just came out of, the Voltage book, talks about everything has a voltage spike and a voltage drop. So, including freedom. So if you think about freedom, the word itself sounds beautiful. Freedom. Oh man, I feel free. Most people, when they think of the word freedom, it's like, I feel free. But if you sit back and really calculate, you got to realize there's a cost to it. What's the voltage drop of freedom? What's the cost of freedom? Oh shit, I'm vulnerable. Oh shit, I gotta protect this. Ain't nobody gonna help protect me. Oh shit, if I go hungry, if I run out of food, I'll starve. Like once you start calculating, you realize all the risk and the exposure and the dark sides of freedom that you have to cover in order to continue to be free. And most people, if they're honest with themselves, they don't want that shit. I'd rather not be free, and I'd rather be connected to my victim mindset, which I can front like that's why I'm not where I want to be. Because if you remove that from me, then it literally feels like I'm dying. It goes back to like carnal feelings, like straight caveman feelings of like I'm jumping off a cliff. When you remove my excuse, my victimhood, I was molested, I was abused, I was this, I was that, I'm black, I'm from Oakland, whatever, all the shit. Once you take it away from me, now I'm naked, and now I feel horrible. I feel like dying. So that's one of the costs of freedom, and you got to get over that.
Let me add, because shit, now open up another can. By the way, thanks, bro. Let me open another can. In order to achieve the heights of freedom, you got to practice servitude. You got to be humble. You got to be meek. You got to have empathy. You got to see value in all people. You got to see all people as being good. When you see yourself as a victim, you're too sensitive to even walk that path. If I tell you to be a servant and you see yourself as a victim, that hurts. That hurts really, really, really bad. Matter of fact, every time you join a group, you give up a portion of your freedom. Every time you join a group, you give up a portion of your freedom. No one is absolutely free. But when you're a victim, you're actually what's the word I'm looking for? You resist the idea of giving up whatever little freedom you think you have. That's a hard thing to do. That means you join groups in a militant undertone. Your hand is closed. Okay. So remember I told you, we have this, judge a person through their theory of control, right? When you see people, their theory of control. When you see as a victim, imagine what your theory of control is. How sensitive you are about control. Because you've been a victim in your life. It's hard to let people get close to you. If you ever talk to a lot of people, especially now in the social justice area, a lot of people are not part of the social justice movement, but they're uncomfortable with people. They're uncomfortable with people in their space. Think about it. When's the last time people invite you into their houses now? When I was growing up, you go to people's houses, like, you can go in the house. Now people are like, I'm not sure everybody come inside my house because I feel, right? I'm like, what are you going to do to me? Because when you get out of that victim space, you also let people in. When you're in the victim space, you're so guarded, right? And then as you build these rules of engagement of other human beings, like, I'm gonna stop dealing with people with flip-flops on. I'm done with that shit, or flip-flops offend me. But after a while, as you start to block all these things in, you stuck in your own prison. And now you at home talking about, I hate my life, I ain't got nobody. You're imprisoned by your own fucking beliefs. Part of your So one of our students in this class, so I'm getting into like the formula, why this came up. Before we get to the formula, real quick. Lady, what do you know to be true about yourself? I'm gonna go real fast.
I'm accountable.
Why?
Because I think that.
Story stop.
Okay.
Shabisha, what do you know about yourself? I just passed the mic around. Just wait, whoever gets the mic, just tell me what you know about yourself.
That's a fact, baby. And scene. That was a good one. Give me some, girl. Gotta get this man. Give me some.
Nah, don't get away with that. You ain't that easy. Go ahead. Tell me something about your. Go ahead. You
want another one?
Yeah. No, not about your physical. I'm talking about your personality. Don't need to tell me. You ain't got an ovary. Well, you do have ovaries, but yeah. Tell me something about your personality. Like who you are.
I enjoy growing.
Why?
That was before this class. Don't play me. Why do I like growing? Because I enjoy changing from what I was. Why do I enjoy growing? Because I don't like staying the same. I want to keep expanding who I am.
But why? You didn't tell me. You just keep describing it.
Why? I don't know why. Because I don't know. Staying still and not growing feels like death to me. It's boring.
Story, pass. Go ahead. Tell me something about who you are. So that's concrete. That's one thing.
I learn through experience. I learn best through experience.
Why?
Because then I have a point of reference that's applicable to me for what works and what doesn't.
Why? How do you know that?
Because I had the experience.
Story, pass. Nuh-uh. Go ahead. Something you know about yourself.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure myself out.
Huh?
I said I'm still trying to figure myself out.
Don't be trying to be passive. Try to avoid that. It's just so many things. It's just complicated. Come on, give me something about you. Say this. I feel comfortable about this.
Anything?
I don't care what it is.
I like to cook
Why?
because I like food.
Okay. You trying to do the ovary thing on me? She not like, well, all human beings like food, don't they? Yeah. What kind of food you like?
All.
You are the funniest. You go just, hey, dodgeball queen back there. You are not gonna get me on this one. Okay, pass the microphone. I'll get back to you later on. Pass the microphone. Go.
I enjoy being uncomfortable because I'm still in this class and I'm uncomfortable as fuck. But
Why?
I'm still here. Because I'm growing and I feel, hold up. Because I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm evolving. I'll stop there.
What does that matter?
It matters because if I'm stagnant in life, everything that I want for my future, I'm not going to get if I was the same person that I was 6 months ago or a year ago or even a week ago.
Pass.
That's big.
Go ahead. No, I'm doing this for this reason I'm going with this. Go for it. Somebody is a professional writer right now, so she may be trained in stories. I'm not sure she might even be able to crack this answer. Go ahead.
That I'm a professional writer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that why you said that?
Yeah, she'll be like, well, let me see. Which one?
That's,
Go ahead.
That's who I am. I'm a professional writer.
Story, pass. See,
I got stories. See, I don't even forget a story. You look at you.
I was like, yeah, you're a cheat. That's your game. You got to play that game. Go ahead.
I didn't know where I'm getting around stories, so
Something you know about yourself.
I am a fighter.
Why?
I just know you don't story me, but shit, it is what it is. I am a fighter because of the things that I've survived in my past. Taught me how
Story.
to... Yeah.
No, Tennille, I got Tennille last night. Okay, so let me go over this real quick. So first thing first, who you are and most of the things that we believe in is stories. Not necessarily true, not factual. But just as fast as I just had the word stories, if you change the story, you become somebody else. That's number one. Why is that important? So, young man calls me on the phone. Go over our full conversation and bring this around so nicely. And he says to me, yeah, I have a clothing company called Unfazed. And I want talking to marketing companies to grow my company. I said, and so I looked at this whole brand, everything had Unfazed on it. That was it, just Unfazed. Unfazed. So, as I'm talking to him, I said, let me ask you a couple of questions. Why did you create that brand? He said, well, I felt that I heard a lot of people online use the word unfazed. I looked online, over 1 million some odd people say unfazed. I see people using it all the time. And I feel like a lot of people go through stuff, and I feel like my t-shirt will help them kind of show up to the phrase unfazed. And I want to impact people by creating a shirt that does this. And I said, my man, it ain't gonna work. You don't need to talk to me. Call a PR firm, and maybe they can help you pump something up. I said, but if they pump you up, the fastest way to destroy a bad idea is to become popular. So at this point, I just told this young man, fuck your ideas, but I didn't say it that way, but that's what he feels in his brain. All he heard was, fuck your idea, your whack-ass, stupid-ass idea. I didn't say that, but his ego said, his ego said, he just told you, fuck our idea, right? You said what? And he ain't unfazed. He became phased real fast. So then I told him, I said, let me explain something to you real quick. Every human being is the center of all their stories. So whatever story you tell yourself about, I'm fearless, I'm this, I'm that, you're always gonna be the hero of your stories. That's the flaw and the strength of your brain. Once again, strength and flaw. Remember I said everything about you is just human. Your weaknesses is just often distortions, but it's the flaw and strength of your brain. When you run a company, you cannot push your story on a customer. Your job is to make every customer the hero of their story. Let me try this again. When you sell a product or service to a customer, your number one goal is to make the customer the hero of their, not your, story.
You're giving away the secrets. You're giving away the secrets.
I'm trying to teach him some of that pimp. This is Pimp Chronicles. Anyway, so let me give it to you in a relationship context. Let's say you sat down. Most of you guys have talked to me about your businesses, like Unfazed and some people in this class and online. They said, now I got this product and this idea, this business. I want to, and do me a favor, somebody send Cassandra this class. I got this idea and this concept I want to do in my business. And I think this is what I want to do for people. I think this is a great idea. And I talked to my friends who I helped, and I convinced them to agree with me that this is a wonderful idea. I'm gonna change it to date language. I'm gonna be the idea, but I'm a man. I'm talking to Court. Yeah, Court. So I took the sisters out. I sat down with her at the table. I told her, I said, hey, look, I'm what every woman needs. Everybody woman wants. I'm sure I can make you happy. I'm sure everything you ever wanted is what everything you wanted is right here in me. I'm this, I'm that. Look at the way I'm dressed. Look at the way I get down. I want to show you my bank account. Maybe not, whatever. We can wait until later on. The key thing is I asked her to marry me and she couldn't make a decision. You know what was missing? I didn't ask her about her fucking self. Y'all run businesses like narcissists. Y'all sit down and introduce your products and services like you're the greatest fucking thing coming because in the end, you're really trying to use this business to value yourself. Go back to the victim mindset. I'm looping all this shit back in. When you're a victim, you're using business to stop being a victim and become valuable. I told my mom I could be somebody. I told my community there's gonna be somebody. I told my children there's gonna be somebody. When you are in the business of making other people live the best of their story, often you have to give up a certain portion of your ego to meet them at that table. You have to say, what do women tell men all the time? If you want to be on a good date with me, stop talking about your fucking self. Y'all go into business relationship with your customers just talking about yourself. Talk about, oh, I, and then I. And I don't understand why nobody wants my product, Nana. Because you ain't never asked me what the fuck I want. So I told the dude, I say, let me share something with you, brother. You have 40 million black people in the United States. This product's called Unfazed, right? And it doesn't make sense. I said, and with 40 million black people, there's so many different versions of them, it's ridiculous. And all those niches are worth millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. He turns to me and says, but I may be a black company, but I don't want just to sell to black people. And I said, oh my God, fuck it. I don't need this money. I said, the fuck you don't. In business, your number one goal is sell to the people who fucking know you and the people you understand first. You know why? Because their feedback is going to help you polish your products and service. If the people around you don't want to fuck with you, your products and service suck too much to even make it to the fucking market. If you can't sell to your friends and family, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing. 2, You might say, well, no, I don't really have a lot of friends and family. Cool. It's called join groups, join organizations, work on friendships, start meeting people, exchange numbers, share your products with people. Let them taste your stuff without having any commitment, or let them try your stuff, let them buy your stuff, let them wear your stuff. And guess what? That's investment, but that's investment of product development, R&D, research and development. When you first start, you have to do some type of minimal investment in a product for research and development. Does my cupcakes even taste worth a shit? You love them, and you love them, and only you. But you guys are not, so many people, because you're wearing victimization on your shoulders and not being good enough so much, you're sitting in front of customers trying to get them to buy you, not your product. I can't wait for you to raise your hand. Come on, Kaja, talk to me.
It's on? Okay.
Okay.
I'm so glad this is coming up. This is completely on time because for the first time, I'm selling something. And you made the point about selling to your friends and relatives first. And I had a conversation not 30 minutes before I came in here, which was the exact opposite. My friends and family are buying, but that's because they know me, they know what I'm doing, and they're bought into the human story. If you can't sell this to John Public in your demographic market, then can you really count it as a success? Even if you sell it out to people you know, they're buying because they know you. They're not just in the demographic, interested in your product and buying.
Good question. That's a good question. Let's work on the in-between cracks. Yes, you can use your friends and family. Repeat sales and repeat purchases. If I buy one product from you and I make sure I don't even pick up my phone when you call for the next 3 weeks, you know you suck. 2, it's okay to suck with those people. Have you created a space for them to feel comfortable to give you feedback without you saying anything back? Like Marquita said, what kind of questions do you ask? Hey, I'm trying to improve this product. What would you think I should do to improve it? If there's anything, if that conversation goes, I don't know, I just love it too much and this is crazy, okay, cool, it's working. But if that conversation seems like it's going on about 45 minutes and then going, well, what you should do, hold on, let me get a phone call. Call Michael because he can teach you how to make better cupcakes because I'm telling you, Michael can help you out. That means it's sucking. I just brought it because you're my family member. They will give you proper feedback, but you gotta know how to extract the feedback. Don't expect them just to, hey, here's a cupcake. They'll be like, what the fuck is this, right? They're not gonna do that to you. They'll be like, oh, that's so good. Oh, girl, I'm gonna die. I'm supposed to eat one bite a day. That's all I'm doing right now. Oh, dang it. And then next thing you know, you see me like sticker when they walk down the street like, wait, I thought they said it's on a diet. Yeah, diet from your shit. The point is that the reality is that you can get the feedback. What you can do is blind yourself from the feedback. And the feedback is how they engage you. For example, when Brownie first started selling her barbecue sauce, it was, hey, Brownie, we want some more of that sauce because I just went through it. Where's some more of that sauce? Hey, my friend just had that sauce. You got some more? My friend wants some sauce over here. Now you know it's got some momentum. Now it's about finding your audience that best align with the purchase of your products, right? But if people are purchasing from you and you ain't getting no phone call back, they ain't told their friend about you, their friend ain't knocking on the door, then that's a family pat on the back. So there's a way to get around that. So that's true. If somebody just buy your stuff and, oh yeah, baby, your paintings are so beautiful. Hey, mommy, you gonna put it on your wall, and you realize she may have put it on her wall downstairs in the nook where her husband goes, who she don't like. Tells you something. Is it in the living room? Not in the living room? Is it in the living room when you wasn't there? Tells you a lot. Like you're gonna have to investigate because it's too much to ask somebody to give you negative feedback. Because one, you don't know the past. Like we don't know how we show to people. Let's say every time I give you a feedback, you cussed at me, right? Almost like if I say, Kaja, why are you wearing them shoes? Why the fuck you ask me what shoes? I can wear the fuck I want to wear. Oh god damn shit! And like you ain't never wear no ugly ass shoes. What are them shoes you wore last Wednesday? You be thinking, I'll just ask you why you wear those shoes. It's raining outside. I thought those were nice. What the fuck is this for, right? You think I'm gonna give you feedback on your food or your products that you selling, that you have passion for? You got me fucked up. Or did you come in my house with, you know what, I'm selling these cupcakes, and like last night I woke up and like, I'm a praying person, And I feel like Jesus was talking to me, and Jesus said, make these cupcakes. And I feel like this is Jesus and God way of telling me how to show up cupcakes. So I want you to try this cupcake because I know God is speaking through me, and just let me know what you think, what God wants us to think. I'm about to tell you that, yeah, girl, God's working with you. Mm-hmm. I'm not about to tell you your religion is lying and you going through hallucinations. Just like y'all don't tell the sisters who shout over every Sunday, you know you ain't seen no Holy Ghost, girl. You just dancing for attention. Sit your ass down. Ain't nobody gonna tell her that. It just feels sacrilegious, right? It's just like, fuck it, let her dance. Oh, come on, Jordan. Just could you make the song a little shorter? Shit. I like just come on now. I just keep this shit 100. You just want to throw marbles on the floor. You gonna sit our ass down. But anyway, I'm just saying. So, what I'm saying is that the story game is so cold. Look, in marketing, once you understand why people tell themselves certain stories, what stories people want to tell themselves, you know how to talk about your product to your customer. Marketing is nothing. I mean, ads, not marketing, because marketing is way bigger than ads. Ads is a story game. If you listen to the stories that's happening around your people, you'll hear what they're asking for, what they really want. Customers are always sharing their stories. Social justice is a big-ass story, which reveals to you a deeper need. That would reveal to you what products and services you should be working on if you want to scale a huge product, or even how to position your products and services in the market to capitalize on the story that the human beings are telling themselves at the time. There ain't no one story for Oakland, United States, the world, the universe. There's other groups of people. There's so many variations, and then each generation comes with a new story. Your job is to listen to the story of the people you seek to serve and align your products and service with their story to make them the heroes. I gave y'all the coldest game on marketing. Go ahead.
It ties into the first question of the day of the class. It was about how does this class correlate between personal and business? So if you are caught up in your ego, you're a narcissist, it's all about you, everything's all about you, you think God blessed you with the gift of blessing other people with your presence and your product, all those things, if that's how you are in life, then that's how you're going to be in business. And more than likely, you're a lonely motherfucker in life, because in business, if you're lonely too, because you're transactional and you're always seeking to get but not to give. But if you work on, in regular life, being a humble person, being a servant, giving with your palms up, how can you help people, always not over competitive, but have that energy, but you're always seeking to add value to other people, then it's pretty much a given that your business is going to be good.
That's simple. Narcissism is not a personal problem. It shows up in every fucking thing you do. Now, in corporations, go back to the personality or the theory of control. One of the best ways to rise up in corporations is to be argumentative. It helps you grow in corporations. To be argumentative. If you want a person who's always disagreeable and argumentative, always looking for a different way of doing things, always listening, I'm not sure if I believe in that. Let me just double check that. I know that actually helps you grow in corporate America. As an entrepreneur, not so much. You replace that with curiosity and servitude. Yeah, when you're running your company, you're always curious to try different ways of doing stuff. You're always looking for better ways to prove yourself wrong. But you don't sit in front of your customer and become argumentative. Nope. Because you're destroying their story. You don't even, if you walk into an office right now and you're a consultant and you convince that office they're wrong, what have you done to their hero? you destroy their hero. You walk into the office and help them become the hero they want to be. It may not be your solution, it might not be your strategy. How do you help them become the hero? Because you can take this class and learn all the right way of doing everything in the fucking world. But when you walk into environments where people are trying new ideas, you don't know who they're serving and how the idea works for who they have to serve. It may be total counterintuitive to what you do. Your job is to enhance what they do and make them heroes of their story. Not go in there and prove to them that you're right, which is I'm selling me over you. Narcissism, grandiosity on steroids. And you got the microphone. I got a question. I'm glad you said something. you had your shit cocked. Say something. Go ahead.
So when you asked Tish how much does she want to make, like in her business, I don't know where to even start to define or figure out what that number is.
Because first of all, so let me share another story with you. Y'all want to hear another story of somebody else, another entrepreneur I talked to this week. So my rim got scratched. Scratch was about this big. So I went online, and if your rim ever gets scratched, there's people, I'm talking about if it gets scratched like all the way around, there's repair services. If it's alloy, they can fix any rim. Like, the only rim they can't fix is if you overbend it. They can even fix a bent rim. They can fix a cracked rim to a little bit of crack, right? But they can fix almost any kind of rim. So I knew that because on my Volvo, I literally ran into a curb, talking to my daughter, and like, oh, baby, good to see you. Oh, God damn it. Oh, Lord Jesus, right? And so I learned that you could fix any rim. So I called this dude out, and mind you, it was like a small little nick. But when the nick happened, I was so pissed off, but I knew it can get fixed. So in the meantime, while I waited he said, well, I can't come out for a week. So I went, I got my Harley black touch of paint. I touched my rim. And I was like, where in the fuck? Like it removed it almost because once the black was the exact same color. And so he comes out. He's like, where's the damage at? And I said, okay, give me a second. Got to look at a certain angle. It's right there. He said, bro, keep your money, man. If you can't find it, who else gonna find the shit? Right? And I was like, you're right. I was like, but you know, I always take care of my cars, and if you start letting little things go, it's just a matter of time before you be like, my shit's a hoopty. And whether you know or not, here's a psychological hack, another hack, psychological hack. If you're getting tired of your car, go detail it, you'll fall in love with it again. Trick. That's how your brain works. It's a trick on the brain. So, so he goes, nah, man, just don't. Now, mind you, he drove an hour and a half because he covers from San Jose to Livermore to Alameda County. He covers that whole area. So I said, yo, let me go get you some money, man. Just, you know, I was gonna give him $40. I did give him $40. And he's like, no, don't give it to me. I said, nah, bro, I ain't no fucking way you gonna drive out here and at least give you $40. Like, God damn, get you a sandwich and put some gas in your car, right? So guess how much he's gonna charge me to fix my rim? To drive to my house, in my driveway, and repair my rim. Guess how much he's gonna charge me? $125. I drive a $90,000 car. I scratched my rim. It cost me anywhere between $50 to $185 $185 to get my car washed. He gonna repair my rim for a whole hour for $125. Shakina would tell you, matter of fact, Shakina just almost peed on herself when she heard that number because that's so low for her. She can't even breathe right now. Right now, y'all need to get past her albuterol because she can't hardly fucking breathe. That's so low. Yeah, but I can't relate to that. I can't relate to that. Stay with me because I know, because I'm trying to get you out of that pimp game. I'm gonna free y'all today. No more Cardi B. Yeah, so let's say with me. Let me finish the story. So he sat in front of me and I said, and he's like, really? So he's like, no, I don't want to charge you. He goes, by the way, he's trying to give me insights on how to get it done properly and things he do that's ethical that other people don't do. And he's like, yo, and he's talking about his son, and a younger, well, about my, he's like maybe 5 or 10 years younger than me, maybe 10 years younger than me, young white male. And he's talking about how he's good with his son. I'm sitting there, the dude's a dope ass dude, head to toe. So then I said to him, can I ask you a question? I said, are you interested in turning this to a business? He said, yeah. I said, can I just give you a formula on how to grow your business? He said, yeah. I said, okay, first thing first. Train somebody to do what the fuck you do. Most of the time, the reason you don't want to train somebody to do what you want to do, what you're doing, because when you do the work you're doing, you personalize it. You make it a part of your personality. You make it part of your value statement. I said, go to work every day for the next few months or next couple of weeks and put your stuff in almost like in a manual. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Then go on your website and I want you to share with the world all of your ethical, valuable reasons of how you show up. Get somebody to design you a decent website that looks a little bit better than what you have. And do me a favor, raise your prices by $30 to $50 per job. Because if you go into cars of a certain value, we feel comfortable spending more money than less money. Because the guy who charges us more makes me feel like you're gonna help me take care of my baby. And what's $30 to somebody who's making, $500,000 a year? It's no money at all. Once you train that person, I said, at first it's gonna feel like you spending money, but it's just an investment. So just know, you're gonna become you're gonna spend $160, say $20 an hour, and you spend $160. Because I said, well, he goes, well, I tried the people in the past and it didn't work. I said, why didn't it work? Well, I gave them $50 a day to learn. I said, yeah, you called the trash to the table. I said, if you went outside your house right now and say, who's worth $50 a day? Only trash gonna say, me. Now they're not gonna raise his hand until you get to $5,000 a day. When you say $5,000 a day, I'll be like, oh, player, what y'all talking about over here? But if you say $100 a day, but at least you climb the quality of people. So the reason it's never worked out because you keep soliciting the low people because you're thinking low. He goes, well, I have good prices. Sometimes I come out and I charge $125 a rim, but if they let me do all 4 rims, it's only $100 a rim. I said, pimp, sit down and let me rap to you for a minute. You in the Bay Area, pimp. I said, you should charge $200 a rim and then send out coupons that if you use my coupon, you can get it done for $150. And guess what? Human beings don't pay attention to cost. They pay attention to savings. They got to win. Spending money is emotional. It ain't real. If you make me feel like I saved $50, I'm winning, baby. And now I just financed your labor. 2, I say, in your industry, I've never seen anybody say, I don't think I have a friend that received a flyer or a brochure in the mail that says, get your rims fixed for $150 a piece. That means, I said, before my Volvo got hit and the dealer told me about this, I didn't know this was even a service. That means you don't have any market penetration at all. Or saturation, let me say. I don't want to get Lily fired up. Any market saturation at all, you understand me? So if you hire that first employee, and you spend the next 5, and you save $5 or $10 grand just to run ads, you have enough work to keep him working and start the training of your new employee. Your second employee should know something about paint repair for chips. So while they're out there repairing rims and while it's drying, they can start working on either buffing the scratches and repairing the chips. To me and you, we both know it's not that complex. But that's another $200 you can add on to your costs. So now that person's there for an hour and they just made $350, and you paying them $30 an hour, which is $60 grand a year. And part of that money goes towards you spending $300 a month on a leased truck and $200 a month for the insurance to keep that truck running, which is $500. All right, better yet, let me keep it even better. You pay that person an extra $300 a month to use their car to run around and run your services. You see how I'm hacking you? I said, now, let's say you got 3 to 5 employees. Now you open up a shop they call the 30-minute rim shop, where you come in within 30 minutes, like in the car wash, I can repair any rim in 30 minutes, you in and out. He said, oh, I could easily do that. Yeah, because now you got the money too, and it's possible. And you're running marketing campaigns. I said, now in the meantime, make sure you design your logo to say that you're serious, and your website say you're serious. Focus on trust as your main product. He says, well, I said, let me ask you a question. How many entrepreneurs do you hang out with? He goes, I don't hang out with many. I said, and that's why he goes, I got some friends who do this and this. I said, your friends got you thinking low, so you play the low game. You got to hang around people who play it high so you can think the high game. If you ever go to the gym and work out, how did I become so strong in the gym? You understand, it's time for my commercial. How did I become so strong in the gym? I'm not going to dance with my chest, but you know I can do that, right? And whatever, you got to live, y'all, I don't care. You like my sister and you live with me, so y'all going with that bullshit. Anyway, point is this. How did I become so strong? And Court knows this is the rule. You work out with guys stronger than you. They make you stronger. Your money's low because you hang out with you in the low money world. Find people who are comfortable making money. Look, Mashama can save $30,000 to $100,000 to $1 million without blinking. Ain't even phased. But you won't learn that language if you hang around people who gets uncomfortable with just 1,000. They're damn near shake. You are in Silicon Valley backyard. You got folks can spend $1,000 a day and it won't even change the course of their breakfast. But it's because you're thinking about, and I said, and the first time I told them, I say, get out of your customer's pocket. All you're doing is projecting your limitations, you too, onto your customers. So all you do is projecting your limitations of what you can pay onto your customers. You acting like all your customers got your same bank account number. Some of the cats got millions on top of millions, ain't thinking about problems. Some of the cats open the account and be like, yeah, I found $100,000 in my other account. I forgot about that shit. And you come in and talk about, would $20 be too much for you? I get that shit. I get people to apologize to me like, okay, look, I'm gonna just tell you straight up. You can go with this for $60. No, you go with this for $60 because the other one's gonna be a little expensive. I'm like, what's expensive? I don't even want to tell you. It'd be like $140, $150. I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds expensive. I'm thinking in my head, that ain't no fucking money. They're projecting their limitations onto me. My favorite sweatshirts, my favorite sweatshirts, they're all $180. All my favorites are $180 because I like the way they look, the way they cut, the way they feel on my body, the way they design. Sometimes they're $200 something. When I buy them like other people buy $20 shoes, $50 shoes, whatever, $100 shoes, whatever you fuck they spend in. I don't try to buy them because I'm trying to do status. I buy it because I'm comfortable. I'm not the richest person in the Bay Area by no means. Many of your customers will have more money than I have, and y'all playing yourself short talking this small change game. The trick in this game is this. Stay out of your customer's pocket. Let me help you with your morality, because I remember I said some of y'all think judge do good, bad. High price is bad, low price is good, right? That's you projecting. When you don't charge a customer the proper amount of money, ask Court what they're gonna do. They're gonna blow us on some other stupid shit. 3, I told my customer this, put a high value product on your list of products. You don't plan on no more than 3 or 4 people ever buying that fucking product, but it makes your other prices seem so much smaller. If you went to Gucci right now, anybody ever looked at Giorgio Armani Gucci website and looked at the sweater? I don't think that shit's under $4,000. If you happen to go to an outlet and see a sweater for $400, you'd be thinking, oh my God, I got it. It's the same motherfucking cotton. He'll tell you for $7. It's called, I think he put it in the thing, it's the Casio and Rolex effect. In your brain, because of status, you think a Rolex does something that Casio can do. But all you're paying for is how you feel, not what the shit can do. Now that you know that, why aren't you exploiting the way people feel? That's what business is about. They want to feel good. The reason motherfucking Payless Shoe Source would never be Nordstrom's, because they can't get no status for Payless Shoe Stores. As soon as I walk in with those shoes, you'd be like, those are Payless Shoe Stores. But if I walk in with the latest Jordans, that fool got on some Jordans. And I'm feeling like this, yeah, I got on some Jordans. You do your homework, I didn't do shit. I ain't doing a goddamn thing. That's how you feel. When you got a George, it just gives you a boost, right? Because human beings have a basic need. One of our other basic instincts, we need status. We need status. Now you being Mr. Moral, but I don't feel like I don't need to give people status. Status is bad. That's your status. You're the liberal status. That's why you're doing what you're doing. It's called Whole Foods. Multi-million-dollar company, status company. Farmer's market, that's a status market. Yeah, this tomato sauce is it grown from tomatoes in my backyard, and I only use the best worms and best dirt and best mud, and I wait for just rainwater. I save the rainwater, and I just pour, I just drip it like this or something like that. Anyway, this jar is gonna be $60 for a jar of tomatoes. You're like, oh, this is so important. And your little status go, oh yeah, I should have these tomatoes because I'm gonna feel better about who I am because it lets me know that I'm authentically organic too. So I want those $60 tomatoes too. That whole industry, the information come out every day, organic game, the green game, all that shit's game. It was game. It's a status movement. And some of y'all will, I don't eat anything that's not organic, Donna. It's just, if it's not organic. Now, if I make McDonald's, I gotta do what I gotta do. But if I don't eat any. Well, if I'm at a restaurant, but I only eat organic, Donna. You're full of shit. It's status. So business, go back to the game. $5,000 just told me your personal value. Get your value up. Get your value up. Because when you said 5,000, they did this thing with a group of men who came out of, this is an old podcast. This one guy who's a he's a billionaire at this point. And he wanted to go back and help people in the black community because the black community helped him grow. So he went to the black community and he found people who just got out of prison, down their luck, and he said, hey, I'm gonna train these people to be able to make money in the industry and hire some of them. So he posed them all a question. How much, if you could have anything you want, how much would you want? You know what they said? $1 million. You know how much a house costs in the Bay Area? Above $1 million. You know how long $1 million will last you? Most of y'all, not even a year. Because y'all forget it's just $1 million. He said anything you want. They didn't say $2 billion. They didn't say $1.5 billion. They didn't say $1 billion. They said $1 million. $1 billion is 1,000 millions. They just said one. Part of climbing, and let me explain. Okay, this is my last point. I'm gonna go home. I'm in LA this weekend. By the way, if you ever want to know how to travel to LA and have a dope experience and avoid traffic and eat some of the finest food in the world and have everything you want within walking space in Glendale, coldest shit ever. Go into Burbank, Glendale, rent a Tesla, stay at Residence Inn in Glendale, which was supposed to be a boutique hotel that they built to be a 5-star hotel. Then when COVID hit, Marriott just said make it Resident Inn, but it is built like a 5-star hotel, but for a studio that can with 2 beds, 2 separate rooms, full kitchen, $400 a day. That's Airbnb cheap. And yet you got a permanent person come clean your house every day. And you have they have outside pits, swimming pool, and it's plushed. Everything from outside. And you can walk around the hotel 24 hours with your daughter and feel safe as a motherfucker, right? Anyway, and the food is fabulous. And if you might know about me, bring me some low-end food and see what the fuck I do. I'm not that uncle going to bite that shit and be like, it's good. Like, what the fuck? Who taught you how to cook this shit? That's me. I'm sorry. That's who I am. Okay. I kind of did Glendale shit. Went to LA. What was I talking about for LA? Fuck. Huh? So get your value up. You won't know your value. Huh? Yeah, what was the last thing I was talking about though? Last little thing. Glendale was so tight though. Fuck. Huh? Give me 1 second. So get your value up. You won't know what to ask for until you see your value. Oh, it's coming back to me closely. About our mental limitations. All the guy asked for, all he asked for was $1 million. Then they realized there was more they can get. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm a million billion. That wasn't on my chest anymore, was it? Okay, just make sure. Because sometimes I just be talking about all kind of shit. I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, the point is this. So, but, Jesus. Okay, let me just try to sum it up and maybe come back real quick. But, oh, yeah, here we go. So we're driving through LA, and we're driving through these certain neighborhoods, right? I'm going to get you out of class, I promise you. So we drive through LA, and we drive through these neighborhoods where LA has some houses that are some cold-blooded houses. Like, you look at these houses and be like, God damn. And I thought to myself, there's black people who've been driving through Piedmont Hills, Warner Creek, anywhere down south near San Jose. And some there's a district where you can drive up in the hill to go to this concert and go through all these rich-ass houses. And it's up in the hill, in the mountains, right? And you know what I realized? Black people live their whole life knowing they're never going to live in those houses. Just sit there for a second. You think to yourself, I'm going to learn to be comfortable not living, being able to live in those houses. You just sit with that for a second. I mean, we ride through Bay Farm Island. There's this neighborhood in Bay Farm Island. Houses are, the ants feel comfortable. And the cats feel luxurious. It just feels like you feel like kids are walking around. I bet you, Shakira went to Alameda the other day. She's like, so in our neighborhood, there's one family come to my door for trick or treat, right? Beautiful Latino family, by the way. Beautiful kids, right? And they had me cracking up. Mind you, I don't do trick or treat, so I just went and grabbed some ZZ's candy and gave it to them. But only one, because nobody ever comes on our block for trick or treat. And we have a nice block, a little Oasis block. And if you go through East Oakland, a lot of black kids don't get that freedom of movement because of the tension and stress in our community. So I'm in these other communities. Shakira's in the white community with my daughter. She's like, you know how many kids was out there trick-or-treating in Alameda? Oh my God. You almost forgot that shit exists in Oakland. The world you live in is teaching you to play the game low. You gotta break that fucking glass ceiling and go, I'm getting one of those houses. I'm going here. I'm not saying that should be like your superficial goal. I'm saying give yourself permission to fucking dream and go get it. Stop accepting the story that this is all you ever be, because they ain't gonna let you have something. There is no they. White folks are not organized like that. They don't even get on the phone like that. When 9/11 happened, my first sign that white folks are not organized was 9/11. That made no sense to me that this person could talk to this person. They could talk. You know, before that, black folks used to tell me, conspiracy, say, be careful what you say on the phone. They listening. You know how many people talking on the fucking phone? You know, you have to be listening to figure out who the fuck. You know how much resources and how many people you have to put in place? I'm not saying that there's some type of smart listening for extremism. But if you got on the phone right now, be like, man, fuck everybody. I don't give a fuck. Only person will hear you is the person in the other room, like, would you quiet down, try to take a nap? Right? That's the only person who'll be worried about your goddamn conversation. What I'm trying to explain to you is that we are living under a weight of stories that's stopping us from living our full potentials. We're great people functioning in studios in our brain. We don't live in our own mansion. We literally Airbnb in our mansion, and we live in a garage of our own mansion. So, stories. The theme of this evening was stories, stories, stories. Start paying attention. Everything you believe in is a story. I want to get married. Why? Story. I love this person. Why? Story. I want a house. Why? Story. Doesn't mean anything. The power of entrepreneur, we can swap stories when we want to. If it ain't working for us, we can quit, pivot, and go get the next story. Some of y'all are so committed to these fucking stories that you don't realize the story that you're committed to is why you can never have what you dream of. Your dream and your stories are in conflict. Change your stories so you can see your fucking dreams. Josh, shut me down for the night. I'm out of here. As they say in Brooklyn, fuck it.